me.
I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, nah, likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call sightseeing. In the front row, run it up when they hype me. The following grows, they know how to ignite me. Call me CEO, I've been running shit right, see. And I ain't playing games, I create my own lane, making pleasure out of pain, turning losses into gains. I'm the boss, I'm making change. I've been rocking this exchange, popping off and risking things. Gonna make a f***ing name. I just wanna be famous, but I don't want that cheap fame. No, I'm not that vain. I just wanna be greatness.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Looks like we got a few people showed up right at the beginning of the show. We may have to do more at 4 o'clock. We have to mess around for a few minutes before anybody shows up. Anyway,
I have been doing all of the shilling and everybody on my streams. I am so obnoxious right now, and so it's like, hey, get on the channel, and then it's, you know, hey, I'm going live at 4 p.m. And so yeah, I've been obnoxious the last couple of days.
I thank you all for the accommodation, because at 2 o'clock I'm asleep. So
this was perfect. Yeah, this was fine.
No problem. I just want to know how much coffee Earl has, because she's already bouncing off the walls.
None. I don't drink coffee.
Ooh, neither do I.
Either.
Anyway,
I don't drink coffee either.
we just took over Joe's show.
I used to drink it when I was with my ex-husband, but now it just reminds me of my ex-husband, and so I cannot stand this coffee.
it's weird.
I have a really sensitive sense of smell, and it's obnoxious. it's really annoying.
I don't drink coffee regularly, but like I keep some really nice high quality coffee at the house, and when I feel like I want a cup, it's there, and I usually add like Disaronno or something to it. I don't drink like set and drink, but I like a nice drink sometimes, and
I'll do it with some Baileys.
Kind of qualifies as an alcoholic drink for me.
I'll do it with like on Christmas morning with my mom. We'll drink coffee and Baileys. Yeah. That's about as much coffee as I can tolerate, which is basically dessert. So,
But real quick before we get into things, thank you everybody for coming. Al Trucker, Pinworm, who else? Dave's here. Looks like that's all I can see. Mage is here. Mage Grey Wolf. Anyway, and thank you, Earl and Ed, for agreeing to do this show. I know it's kind of out of the the normal things we usually talk about and stuff, but it relates, so it's kind of like I think it's a good topic.
It is a good topic.
And I have to give credit to Azho for this one. He's the one that wanted to do this and actually set all this up and everything. I was completely hands off. And sometimes I like that because it lets me go into something with the questions and things that I come up with are more natural than, because I have an understanding of autism and the spectrum, and I have a kid that's on the autism spectrum. So, I kind of get it. But this will still, let me interact with you guys in a more natural way. But before we get into all of that, we have tomorrow, we're going to have Earl on again. And I don't know if Justin going to join you? Okay.
No, he's got work. So
okay.
I'll be doing a solo shilling by myself.
Okay.
What is usually the members live stream tomorrow will just be a live stream, and we're going to talk a bit about the Ride the Wavelength channel that Yahooligan, Justin, and I Killed Earl have set up, and talk a bit about what they're wanting to try to do and get into all that. And then next weekend we have Issa is going to be interviewed by Robin.
Yep.
And
That'll be good.
We have some other stuff coming up. We've got we're booked all the way up into May, so we've got a lot of stuff set up and good stuff for you guys. The Monday live stream that I was doing for members only, it did so well when we forgot to mark it as members only that I think we're going to change that into just a Monday live stream and do a live stream 2 days in a row. And then I'll still do some kind of members thing some other day. I'll work that out with the members and figure out what you guys want to do. And speaking of members, it's so many things I have to say when this starts. It's awful. But speaking of members, thank you to all my channel members that have joined, and those of you that were gifted memberships, welcome. I got to give a shout out to Regios for that once again. He doubled my membership numbers overnight during our trivia show. And so thank you guys for being a big part of the channel and supporting everything. It means a lot. It does a lot, and I appreciate it greatly. That being said, what else has went on? I'm not going to talk about the thing in the news. I'll do that separately. So I'll actually make that a recorded video, Azho. I'm not even going to talk about that today.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Little incident with
great out there.
But
as much as it pisses
my
me
cigarette went out. Now I don't know what to do. Anyway, Azho, go ahead and you can take over, bub.
Okay. Thanks for coming, folks. See you next week. No. Before I get started, before I forget, Ed does have trouble once in a while, so he may drop, but he will be back. But I prayed before this started, so we'll be all right. But if not, Earl's a professional. She can carry on, but Ed's going to start it first. Basically, I've heard about autism. I can't even say I heard. I mean, I hear about it from Ed a lot on his, this is kind of what got this going in my head. I wanted to learn. And I'm glad because once I set this up or, started telling people about it, I couldn't believe how many people out there are touched by autism, whether it's themselves, a family member, a friend, they think they're going to get tested, yada, yada, yada sort of thing. So yeah, I kind of hear about it, but I don't know a thing about it. And really this is going to be the Ed and Earl show. So Ed, you can start, when and where you want, lead us down this great trip.
Okay. Well, I'm going to grab the Wikipedia definition of autism, just so everybody knows specifically what we're talking about. It's a pretty good definition. It's kind of a little bit long, but it's formally called autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, although other people prefer autism spectrum condition. I'm one of those people. It's a neurodevelopment disorder marked by deficits in reciprocal social communication and the presence of restricted or repetitive patterns of behavior. Other common signs include difficulties with social interaction, verbal and non-verbal communication, along with pervasive interests, stereotypic body movements, rigid routines, hypersensitivity. Autism is clinically regarded as a spectrum disorder, meaning that it can manifest very differently in each person. For example, there are some non-speaking, while others are very proficient in spoken language. Because of this, there's a wide variation of the support needs of people across the autistic spectrum. I guess I'll go with my story of how I got involved with this because of my own issues. I got noticed autism more and more when I started becoming a public school teacher in Texas. I had to deal with a number of autistic kids in my class. And the funny part is I noticed right away that I was getting along better with them than the rest of the students. Probably because we related so well. I didn't know I had this. I still really haven't been officially diagnosed, but every time I check off a box of how to treat myself, it works. So, it's like, okay, if this is working, then it's something that deals with me and it fills the box and it does the job. Okay. But near the end of my teaching career in Texas, I was having like almost blackouts. I was blacking out and I couldn't tell why. Okay. I had trouble a couple of times walking down the hall. I'd suddenly veer to the right or left and didn't have any physical symptoms other than that. Okay. So I go to the counselor on the floor who also runs a private practice and therapy. I started asking her questions. She says, well, it doesn't sound like a physical thing. It might be psychosomatic or something like that. And when I got back to Michigan, I hooked back up with my therapist, who I got through recovering from religion and the clergy project. And she was the one who brought it up to me and said, Ed, you might be autistic, and you might, because you're having this issue, okay, of things where you check off all the boxes. Okay. You're starting to check off all the boxes. And we had been in therapy for 2 years before that. And so she knew me really well. And so once I started deep diving this stuff, I began to realize that this has probably affected my entire life, and I didn't know it until, just a year ago. Okay. When I started going down this path, the big things for me, like I said, this is, the definition says it, it's different for every person. Okay. It's, the way I can put it in more layman's term is an autistic person's wiring is a little bit different than everybody else's. Okay. Most people have a certain wiring being human beings, but neurologically we're just different. Okay. That's why I prefer condition than disorder. It can be debilitating. Some people actually run with it and do really well with it. And are just really are much better people for it. And for me, it was the hypersensitivity, the fact that I do have repetitive behaviors. You'll see those on my channel from time to time. Things I say that are repetition. I touch my nose a lot. I rub my body a lot. That's all repetitive behavior that I do all the time. Getting into different ideas, like things where I can get really focused on something, and Lord help you trying to get my attention. When I was a kid, my parents constantly complained that I wasn't answering them when they would call my name. And it's because my mind was so focused on something, good to see you, Tux. But it's like, when I look back at it now, because, I try to tie this because I'm writing my deconversion story, and I'm tying this back to my younger days with my religion. And why did religion appeal to me so much as an autistic kid? Well, as a former Pentecostal, I always felt like I was the weird alien from another planet in the back of the classroom. Anybody with autism can kind of relate to that. Like, you just don't feel like you belong to the human race at times. You just don't feel the same. I had a trouble. I have good empathy. I can understand that people are feeling certain things. I don't have a clue why. Okay. I don't have, why are you feeling that way? I don't, that's not intuitive to me. I have to think about it. And there's that kind of issue with it. The social skills are often at a deficit. And that was definitely true for me. But I would go to church and I'm accepted there. I'm in a room with a bunch of Pentecostals, which are considered weirdos to begin with. And I'm just another weirdo. Okay. And I always felt at home there, like I wasn't being judged for that. And I think that's what appealed to me. And that's what kept me in the faith for quite a while, is just the camaraderie and stuff. And I felt normal. So for me, this last year, I have learned more that's helped me than the many years of prayer and meditation ever did, the many years of reading the Bible ever did. Learning to handle my hypersensitivity to heat and bright light, and my nose picks up smells that other people don't even think about. And it blocks, my body has a defense mechanism where it stuffs up. I used to think it was allergies, but it's not allergies. It's just my nose is hypersensitive. Touch is a big one for me. People have to watch it. Make sure you let me know you're there before I touch you. You touch me, because you might get an elbow to the face, kind of thing. Because touch is for me, it's like, it's really, really good, or it's really, really bad. There is no in between. Okay. And it's that kind of hypersensitivity and not being able to pick up the social cues like other people do. I have a hard time still to this day. And I spent 20 years as a pastor with this. Okay. And I would have to go into situations rationally thinking, okay, how do I deal with this person's emotions? Because I don't have the intuitive sense to do it. Okay. And that's kind of, it's kind of, that's the issue. And every time I go into social interactions, it's always, difficult at best. Okay. There's always a level of anxiety every time I walk into a room. Like, this is not too bad because it's the internet. Okay. I'm at home. I'm in comfortable surroundings. I'm good. Okay. But if I walk into an actual social situation with people there, it's like, okay, I've got about a half hour before I'm going to have to walk out of here and take a 10-minute break before I come back, because I get overwhelmed with the social aspects of it. And for me, the interest now is not just the religious aspect, but I have now kind of made this my soapbox a little bit for advocacy, because my therapist said something that stuck with me. She said, Edward, remember someday, you heard it here first, that we're going to discover that a lot of people are far more autistic and on the autistic spectrum than we think, that there is a lot of people that didn't get diagnosed as kids. I mean, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. When I went to school, autism wasn't even a discussion. Okay. You were just that weird kid, that introverted kid, whatever. It was never something that you got treatment for. Okay. I am so happy now that they have that, because if I had been diagnosed when I was a kid, my whole life would have probably been a little bit different, because I have developed so many bad habits and how to deal with this because I didn't know. And now I do know, and I'm trying to reverse all that. And anybody over the age of 50 knows that gets harder and harder the older you get to change things. And so changing my routines to reflect the autism, I have routines because I'm autistic. Now I understand why. Okay. It's like, that's the issue to me. Okay. And, I talk about my channel about how religion gets a hold of you. And for me, I think the autism for a while allowed it to get a hold of me even worse than it normally did. There's a community there that accepts you for who you are, no matter how weird you are. You also have routine. Okay. Let's be honest. Every church service has a routine. Okay. There's a liturgy. When I was a pastor of my congregational church, I knew exactly what was going to happen at every minute of the service. Okay. That's a very, I could go through that, do it, and get rid of it. It was just the way I did ministry. Everything was routine. The way I do my life, routine. Why do I do that? Because it's comfortable. When I get out of that, I get very uncomfortable. And now we're looking at the hypersensitivity autism, my therapist and I. It's more of this is the cause of the high functioning anxiety. This is the cause of the high functioning depression. Okay. And I became very concerned as a teacher with autism, because I was always watching for signs in my autistic kids of, them having trouble coping with life. Okay. Because one of the statistics that bothers me now is the life expectancy of autistic people. And it's not because we get some sort of disease or anything, but the suicide rate is high. Okay. Especially among youth. Okay. Why? Because it's hard to be the person that's outside of everything. And that's kind of where I'm standing with it. It's something that's dominated my life, all my life, but I've only just become aware of it in the last year. And I've learned more and grown more as a person because of understanding it as part of who I am. And it's just made my life a lot easier getting that way. I feel more comfortable managing it. I remember last summer I was so hot sometimes, but I learned to manage the hypersensitivity to heat a lot better. And I had a much more productive summer than I usually have. So, I don't know. I guess for me, it's more of an interaction with questions. I guess if there's anybody who has questions about this, I think me and Earl can probably handle that pretty well. We've been through this, but that's my nutshell take on it. I've just learned so much this last year, and it's still a little overwhelming to me on how to be a better me because of the understanding of autism and hypersensitivity and all the stuff that I deal with. And I bring that out on my channel because I think it has a lot to do with how religion can get its hooks into you, okay, as an autistic person. Okay, it really has. There's something about the autistic way of dealing with things. People are more accepted. If there's one problem that atheists have, it's community. We still have churches do that by nature. It's they tap into that tribalism and they get you going. We don't have that, but I think we can rally around causes like this one. Okay, autism and autism awareness and things like that. Those are things I think we can definitely do. So. But that's kind of my story. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm kind of, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm going through it. And the revelation of it has changed the way I do things is the bottom line. It's hard to get past all that. It really is the way that I deal with life now a little bit more. And dealing with real world stuff instead of the fantasy land, that I used to live in trying to deal with this. I used to, autistic people kind of beat themselves up quite a bit, I think. What's wrong with me? Why do I feel weird? Why do I feel the stranger in strange land? I'd pray, hey, God, take this away from me kind of thing. I don't want to be like this. And now it is part of who I am and I accept it. Okay. And acceptance of it has just helped a hell of a lot. Okay. I'm not trying to change myself. I'm trying to deal with myself. Okay. And that's a better place to be at. That's a real world solution to problems using psychotherapy, using things that, getting your therapist to talk to you about it. That's actually helped me more in this last year than all the years I was a Christian. Okay. I've grown so much, and this last year has just been really good. I'm going to, talk about this more tomorrow on my birthday post, but that's where I'm at with it. And I continue to learn about it. And I'm here to learn as much as everybody else is, because I know other people have different perspectives, because autism expresses itself differently in every person. Okay. There's some common signs, but the differences are legion. So that's my spiel. If anybody has any questions, I'm always happy to answer if I can.
Yeah, Edward, I've marked 2 questions already up there. What I'd like to do, if it's okay with both of you, is you do your thing, Ed, have Earl do her thing. Then towards the end, we'll have a Q&A and maybe even open the room up. And like I said before, is even though I may or may not be on the autism scale, I can relate to part of that when I found out that I was probably bipolar. It explains so much in my past. And it's like, God, my life would have, or should I say glob, my life would have been so different, had I known, sort of thing, especially, with the depression part of it. So thanks for sharing. Like I said, everybody, we're going to do, I think I got one for trees and one from Behe. I'm already marked. So Earl, if you want to take it away for a while, Princess.
Okay. I'm going to start off by a few statistics, because autism in women looks very, very different from autism in men. Women often get the "you don't look autistic," which is really offensive.
Yes, I imagine.
One, what does autism look like? And,
exactly.
It's in my head. Like, I don't know how autism looks. I just know that I'm a weird little person. So, like, how I relate to other people is not my responsibility. So, I don't know what that's about, but it drives me insane. So don't say that to people. But boys are 4 times more likely to receive an autism diagnosis than females are. The rate of autism between men and women is 3 to 1 or 4 to 1. It's right in between there. 80%. This statistic floored me, but I'm not surprised. 80% of autistic females are not diagnosed before the age of 18.
Wow.
Most autistic boys get diagnosed when they're toddlers. Autistic women, 80% of us have to be adults before we finally get an autism diagnosis.
Please tell me this isn't one of those your emotional and your hormones things that they give it to.
I don't even have periods. Like, fuck off with that nonsense. I'm an old woman. Kiss my ass. Yeah, exactly. They want to, and we get misdiagnosed at alarming rates. Lots of women get.
You froze.
Oh, Earl froze.
Earl. Uh-huh. That's what you get.
While she's froze, I'm going to say something about that because I found. Oh, go ahead.
Froze up there for a sec, Earl.
Okay, I saw the twirlies. Twirly of death. No.
You were talking about misdiagnosis.
Yes, women get misdiagnosed at alarming rates, and so that we end up getting medicated and therapy and treated for stuff that we don't actually have because we actually have autism and we're being mistreated. So we end up because we this is kind of like what you were talking about earlier, how you have bad coping mechanisms. When you are diagnosed as a little person, you grow up with the acknowledgement that you have autism and are given, under ideal circumstances, given tools, at least by your teachers, might not be at home all the time, but at least by your teachers, you're given tools to help you as you are going through life. When you don't get a diagnosis until you're 30, then you come up with a lot of really destructive, not very creative ways to manage your symptoms. And that's why there's a really high rate of substance abuse for autistic people. That there's about 20 to 30% of autistic people suffer from some kind of substance dependency. A lot of it is like alcohol. My problem was alcohol. I couldn't socially function, and so I got drunk. I didn't look outwardly drunk, but like in my head, it just made it easier for me to speak to people and be able to get past the social anxiety and to the like, okay, let's not give a fuck and let's go meet a person, kind of thing. Which ended up that's one of the other things is that because women do a thing called masking. Men do it too, but women do it a lot. And that's why our symptoms go for so long without being discovered. So what masking is essentially it is putting on your face. I actually call it putting on my face. Like I feel like I physically put it on every day when I go to work, when I'm out in public, when I go to the grocery store. I have a mask on my face that's like, hi, I'm a normal person. And so you repeat the same behaviors that like you see your normal friends doing. I used movies a lot to and now after I was older, I would study how their faces would move. And so I know to watch people's eyebrows because that tells a lot about, at least to me, it tells me what their intentions are or what their emotions are, because I don't see it necessarily. So I cognitively know what it is, but if I hadn't studied that, I used to get anger and frustration or confusion and anger all pushed up together. And so anytime that somebody was frustrated with me. I just thought that I did something wrong, and I was a bad person, and so it was a whole meltdown. So women mask in order to go about our daily lives, and when you mask so much, then you cover up your symptoms, and so outwardly to like your parents or your teachers or your friends or whatever, you look normal-ish, but internally you're dying. So it's really, I know for me personally, it was, I had no idea that that's what I had been doing my whole life. But I would have to watch people and be like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do in that situation. Knowing when to speak, that's another thing, is that I want to like get in there real bad. I hate talking to people on the telephone because I can't figure out when I'm supposed to interject. And the other person frustrated. I'm sorry. I had something really important to say. Women also, we have the hyper focus that men do, but our focuses tend to be things that other girls like. So it doesn't, because we're more socially aware. Like we want to be in little groups and things like that. And so we try harder to fit in. And so we end up with these super obsessions that are girl focused. And so they don't get noticed by your teachers or your parents or whatever. I was a dancer. I did it 6 days a week. I was obsessed with it. It's all I did. That was my whole life revolved around dance. But I was a little girl and I was good at it. And so that, they just thought it was just that. But looking back on it now, I mean, it was an obsession for me. And I have a lot of little obsessions now. But I definitely have focuses where like atheism stuff or psychology or dentistry. Like I have these very hyper specific things that I don't really give a shit about other stuff. And I can go on and on and on and on and on about topics until I see somebody's face glaze over and I'm like, okay, I went too far. And you kind of walk it back.
I do that.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to shut up, and somebody's just like, okay, can you please shut the fuck up? And I'm like, I'm sorry, so the masking and the hyper focus traits, that in women they tend to look girly, and so they don't get noticed. Autism, when you do actually go in for an assessment, autism assessments use boys as their baseline. They don't have any tests where they've done a group setting. All of the assessments that are currently on the market right now are boy-centric. So even if you check all the boxes for a lot of certain things, then it'll be like this one like weirdo little, it's like, well, that doesn't fit, and it can throw off an entire diagnosis, but women don't present that way.
Interesting.
So it's the whole thing. I mean, just to be a woman generally is pretty frustrating, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, but it can be very, very irritating in medicine because we are not represented very well.
Yeah. Right. I have a question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or I have a comment and a question.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, if these things are sounding familiar to any of you watching, go ask for an assessment. That would be the best way to find out.
And it takes money and it takes a lot of time.
Like the things you guys said here, personally, when I reflect back on like my drug history and stuff, like all the things you said, I'm like, oh man, that sounds bad.
Yeah. I used drugs for a very long time to mask my symptoms. I still do.
I think that's
it's easier. It was easier to get cocaine than it was to get Adderall.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how fucked up our medical system is. It's easier for me to go and dealers seem to just find me. I don't know. I have a smell or something. They just think they can, you know.
That
and
flat booty.
I never have to look for more than 5 minutes. Somebody's going, hey, you know. But it's easier for me to find cocaine than it is to find Adderall.
Wow.
Like that is remarkable.
And
Well, I got a question. Oh, sorry, I don't get one follow-up question for Earl since she's kind of finishing her up. I mean, to me, it sounded like it could be both ways. I can understand both ways. When you were talking about, you know, men being 3 to 4 times more likely to be diagnosed than women.
Well, it occurs in the population boys are 4 times more likely to get to receive a diagnosis, and in the population, the ratio between males and females is about 3 to 1 or 4 to 1.
Right. Well, see, the thing now, in your opinion, because I mean, part of it sounded like it was a sexist thing, which I'm sure it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially for little girls, you know, they're supposed to be sugar and spice and that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it actual fact that, not fact, but in your opinion, that men are more or have a tendency to be more artistic than women? Or is it a combination of both, you think?
It presents more, it does present more in men. Even with, as far as we understand. Now, again, because the assessments are not well done, and because women and girls are not being assessed at the rates that they ought to be, and 80% of females finally get an assessment after they're age 18.
Right.
There's really no solid data that says what the ratio is between males and females as far as, you know, how often autism presents. But as we know it right now, it's about about 3 to 1.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got a couple later on, but
for sure. Yep.
Somebody's roboting.
Was it me or is it Joe that was roboting? Because he continued to. Oh, look!
Oh, it was probably me because I was clicking that membership thing at the same time. I said thank you to Robin for gifting a membership.
Okay. I don't know who got it, but
is it still
a few more things? No, you're good. Women, so boys tend to have more, again, like they have more externalized symptoms, so they get noticed more, which is also why they get tested more. So they have externalized symptoms when they're little, like not being able to sit still, or aggression or conduct type issues, whereas girls are internalized. And so we experience more anxiety, depression, shyness, fear, just awkwardness, because women tend to care more about how we present to the world than little boys do, just generally speaking. And so because we want so badly to fit in, it causes a lot of internalized turmoil.
Sorry, Earl.
We're laughing at me, not you.
It's Joe.
Let's see.
Maybe I shouldn't have took this
and women. Okay, last one. Women experience more coexisting disorders due to being that's where I was going with that other. My conversations go like this. Eventually they get back up to start, but you'll just have to bear with me. Because we are diagnosed so much later in life, we end up with these really awful coping mechanisms. So we end up with anxiety, ADHD, depression, eating disorders, OCD, sleep disorders, tics, things that are kind of they're maladaptive, but they soothe us. And women experience those more than boys just because they get diagnosed earlier.
Yeah. In my case, as a man, though, getting diagnosed so late is kind of similar. You know, it's like I have a lot of bad coping mechanisms that I have to deal with. It's really the speed of diagnosis. The quicker you get this done, it makes a huge difference, which is why I'm very hesitant to get officially tested because I don't want to take up those resources from people that could probably use it more than I could. I'm living with it, so I'm doing, dealing with it. So, me and my therapist are doing fine with it. So I don't need an official thing to put a stamp on my head or anything. So
my problem is that I go through what's called autistic burnout with
I hear you.
with regularity. So essentially, like, because I have to mask all day, and then I'm a dental hygienist, so I have to be in public, I have to touch people, I have to be pleasant when I don't want to be. I don't want to talk to these people. I'm interested in cleaning their mouth. I have no interest in actually like knowing anything about them. I don't give a shit. I honestly don't care. I find once my little world is right here and I'm interested in this little world, and the rest of it, in terms of like the systemic, like how your mouth interacts with the rest of your body, that's pretty cool. But like up here, I don't care.
Why does that horror film, The Dentist, pop in my head now when I see you, Earl? Have you ever seen it? Does it have like Corbin Bernstein or whatever his name was? Yeah, there's like 2 or 3 of them. Oh, well, sorry.
Yeah, I can relate in a very funny way because as a pastor, that's the way I felt about ministry most of the days. I just did not want to deal with people.
I have my little obsession with teeth. Teeth are fascinating. You got 32 little body parts in there, and the whole like microbiome and stuff. Like I could go on and on, but like in terms of having an interaction with my patient, I've practiced a lot, and so my patients that I have end up liking me once they get past the fact that I'm a weird little person. They end up liking me because I don't sugarcoat things. I don't know how. It's just like this is what you have. This is how this is going to go. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make it as comfy for you as possible, and blah 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 blah. But I don't give a shit about, like, I'm not a glorified hairdresser. Like I don't give a shit about your life. Great.
Yeah.
But because I have to mask all day and I have to pretend like I give a shit, it's exhausting. It is.
Yeah.
By the time that I get home, I want to be in a coma. The first thing I do is because I'm a biohazard so I rip off all my clothes, put them in the washer, find pajamas, and then it's like my brain can finally go, and I just sort of like, and so I can't do anything after work because I'm so exhausted mentally from having to deal with people all day that my body and my brain just like there's nobody home. And so I end up getting really, that compounds over weeks and weeks, and eventually I just get to a point where I just can't anymore. The thought of going to work, the thought of being around people, the thought of just having to, like, I have agoraphobia too. So that sort of like washes back into my existence. And so stemming behaviors are, it's little tics that we do that cause us to, like, it's a relaxing sort of thing. I'm a rocker. I tighten up my glutes and so the backs of my legs are like rock solid all the time because
I do the same thing. I have those too. I'm like, when I'm doing videos,
some people
you can
flap and
sometimes
some
see
people
it.
their hair and
I'm rubbing my legs when I'm doing my videos for the same reason. It's like, and I can relate with both being a pastor and being a teacher. I would come back home after masking all day and trying to be the professional. When I was a minister, Mondays were my worst day. I just, don't call me, don't talk to me, go away. And then as a teacher, that was every day. That was like, I'd get home, don't talk to me. Probably why it was such a bad career for me, and why I ended up overstressing myself to the point of neurological shutdown.
And that's what I was going to get to, because blessed be he just said, everyone has those feelings. Nobody likes going to work. Right. I don't think he understands the level of uncomfy that we're talking about. This is not just like, I don't want to go to work today because like I just don't want to go to work today. It's like if I move from here, I might run into traffic. Like
exactly.
high speed. Like I feel like going out into the world, I will hurt myself to keep myself from having to do this. It is not. It's a level of uncomfy that it far exceeds anything that's just like, I just want to take a day off of work. No, this is like, I need to take like 3 weeks off of work, and that's what an autistic like shutdown is, and a burnout. And so I have it has cost me many jobs because
it's why I can't do the teacher thing, and I barely could do the pastor thing with the social interaction, but because I could compartmentalize that. But when you're a teacher, social interaction is every day, all day long. And by the time I got done, I was totally exhausted every day and every holiday. I have never taken days off for mental health reasons until I became a teacher. Okay. It was just I've had lots of jobs, never taken a day off until that one. Where I'm like, I can't do this today. I can't go into work. I'm done. So
I call out all the time. And it wasn't until this past year when I decided that I was going to do freelance. And so I just do I do fill-in hygiene so I can pick the days that I want to work. So that's been a big help as far as making sure that I actually get up and go. But plus I get my money instantly. So it's a nice instant gratification kind of thing. I don't have to wait 2 weeks, I see how much money I'm making. So it's a little bit more motivation to be like, okay, all right, you can actually handle this today. You're just being an asshole. You got to get going. But at some point I can't will myself to do it because I will drive into traffic. It's really uncomfy. It's really uncomfy.
The whole conspiracy theory thing about autism and the autism scare drives me incredibly insane. Okay. Because I'm sorry, you can yell at the government all you want, but what the government does in our face all the time should be far more concerning than any conspiracy theory most of the time. So, and they're pretty open about what they do, but also, no, I mean, we're making some real inroads in neurology here. We're starting to understand things. And, my therapist was very blunt. She says, I think we're going to find that people with autistic traits are everywhere. It's a
spectrum.
It's a spectrum. And we're going to discover over time that this affects a lot more people than we think. Mm-hmm. And for my generation, where we didn't have all this diagnosis, there's a lot of us hanging out here that never got diagnosed and may never get diagnosed with it. We're just living with it. Okay. And that's unfortunate because based on what I've learned the last year, just accepting it, I feel a lot better. I can function a lot better than I ever did before. And, call that what you want, but it works. Okay. It works. And once I got the diagnosis, it works. I don't think it's a scare. I think we're just discovering more and more about this. We're really just learning. And I kind of am excited about the learning process, I guess. But at the same time, it's very disheartening when people say stuff like that, because when you're somebody who's experiencing this stuff, what do you do with me? I've suddenly opened up this stuff and it works for me. And now you're going to say it's just me responding to a scare. Hell no, go away. I'm not going to go there. To me, this works far better, to understand who I am. And so when people do that and undercut that will drive me bananas. I don't get angry about a lot of things, but that one does get me a little angry. It's like, that's where the mask comes off a little bit.
Right. I was going to stop earlier and said, hey, Behe, don't minimize. Yes, I'm calling you out, Behe. Don't minimize somebody else's experience, feelings, with garbage or disrupt. And that's why I'm trying not to even deal with that. I know Robin will take, more than control of it. But Ed, I have a follow-up question for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a little irritated right now. Sorry. None of you guys.
Okay, so you're irritated a lot.
Yeah, it's my nature. But you're talking about you're only diagnosed a year ago, and then you're talking about when you were still, in the fold, you felt normal amongst Pentecostals, do you think now in hindsight that might have been a reason why it might have took you a little bit longer to get out, or do you just think that was just,
Yeah, I think the thing with the Pentecostal church, I didn't stop feeling
Thanks,
accepted.
Robin.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I didn't feel stop feeling accepted by the church until I became a minister. Okay. And the problem with being autistic and a minister is to be a pastor in a purely functional sense. Okay, forget the mythology and the nonsense about it. But to function as a minister, you have to have good people skills. You really have to have that connection that you can make with. When I was an associate pastor, I just dealt with ideas. I was just the engineer that made some other guy's thing run. Okay. And I was very successful at that. Okay. And I didn't have to deal with the people all the time. The moment I became the senior is the moment things went downhill for me, because I had a hard time relating to people. And that's when I started to feel less accepted by the church, because there's certain expectations out of a pastor that everybody has, and I could not meet all of them. And up until that point, yeah, I think it kept me in the church because I felt at home. I could be the weirdo among other weirdos. Okay. Because Pentecostals are weirdos anyway. So, but once I started being the minister, now being a weirdo wasn't such a good thing. Okay. Right. Especially when you're having trouble interacting with people. Okay. And I got that a lot. We don't feel like you care, because I would go to work as a pastor. I'd put on the mask like everybody does. And I would come off as emotionless half the time, because I call myself the world champion at masking, because you will never know what I'm really feeling unless I let you know. Okay. Right. I will not do that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. Okay. Vulnerability kicks my ass. Okay. From an anxiety point of view. So I back off of that. But as a minister, I started to feel unaccepted. And it's also interesting that as a minister, that's when my doubts about faith began to accelerate, because I was able to pull off the social acceptance. Okay. And just be myself for a while, every once in a while. And yeah, it started to unravel for me at that point. But before that, absolutely kept me in the faith. Okay. Because here's this place I could go, be myself, and everybody still loved me and cared about me.
Right. And there was routine, like you said.
Yeah. It's the community thing for religion is very strong. That's one of the strong things that they really do well. Okay. Even when they're abusive, they still have this sense of tribalism that keeps them in. Okay. Right. And when you're a weirdo, because you don't feel like you belong half the time to the human race, you come into church and somebody, gives you a hug, and it's that's a positive experience. The thing about hypersensitivity is it can be positive or negative. I have some good positive hypersensitive experiences too. So they give you a hug, that's a positive experience reinforced by the hypersensitivity. So the emotional connection gets bigger and bigger with that group of people, because they accept you, okay, as you are. Whereas once I became a pastor, that wasn't the case. Everybody was always trying to tell me how to be a better pastor. Well, you need to show more emotion, and you need to, like, fuck if I can do that. Like, I don't know how to do that. I know why, my hypersensitivity tells me you're feeling sad. My absolute inability to understand why you're sad on an intuitive level is kicking my ass. Okay. And dealing with us. And that's the problem. Okay, is the hypersensitivity gives you all this great information. It overloads your nervous system half the time. But at the same time, the autism doesn't allow me to understand it. I don't always understand why people do what they do. I miss nonverbal cues all the time. Okay, I miss them all the time. People are talking to me and they're giving me a cue about how they're sad or happy or angry or whatever, and I can't pick it up. Okay, I just don't pick up the nonverbal cues. And
I just ask, it's like, do you want me to fix it? Do you want advice? Exactly. Or do you want to?
I've had to learn.
Those three things have eliminated so many fights in my life. Do you want me to fix it? Do you want advice? Do you want a hug?
Yeah.
And if I'm just clear like that, and then they can give me what just tell me what it is they want, then I can avoid doing the wrong thing, putting my foot in my mouth.
I had to write a letter to my kids and say, okay, if you want to express something to me, you need to be as direct as possible about it. Okay. If you're feeling an emotion, you need to tell me that you're feeling that emotion and why, because I am not going to pick it up. And
I'm going to misunderstand it.
I'm going to completely misunderstand why you're doing it. And that's a real problem for me still to this day, and probably will be there the rest of my life. Okay. Because I'm not neurologically equipped to pick up intuitively what those emotions mean. Okay. You have to tell me what they mean. Okay. To you. And if you don't do that, I'm lost. I'm completely in the dark. Okay. And I just don't have that sensor array to pick that up. I just don't have it. Okay. And that has kind of opened up things for me too, because I now, because I'm thinking about dating, I'm going to have to literally tell the woman I'm dating, hey, you got to tell me what you're feeling, because I may not pick it up. Okay.
Yeah, having the I'm autistic conversation with somebody dating,
but I now think it's almost I think it's a necessity though, because if you don't have that conversation, you're going to have so many misunderstandings,
so many problems. Yeah,
and
my first marriage was a lot of that, but he also exploited. That.
And what's funny is I'm sitting here listening to the both of you, and I'm thinking about like opening up a newspaper and say, oh, dental hygienist chokes patient. That I can understand. But it's I
had patients assault me
the husband for bitching about his wife's cooking. At 11, and now it's like it wasn't because of what was going on; it's because of the autism and the get to it sort of thing.
And autistic people tend to pick professions that we can use our hyper focus and our attention to detail and that kind of stuff to work with us. So that's why I'm very good at my job. I'm awful at my bedside manner. I've learned to be better. But I'm acting, and I know that I'm acting. But we tend to do things that are, so we can get our little hyper focus. But I get so bad that I sometimes I have to wear an interval timer, because I go into these little autistic K-holes where all of a sudden 40 minutes have passed and I've still got a quadrant to do and all the polishing, and I'm like, because I've been focusing on this one piece of calculus that I'm going to get that motherfucker, and this piece of garbage that's been on there since the 90s, and I'm like, I'm going to get it, and
I'm still wondering, is that skull behind you one of your patients that pissed you off?
Oh, that's Earl.
Oh, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Fantastic.
But so I found a profession that works well for me, at least in theory, it worked well for me. I didn't really consider I also wasn't diagnosed when I got into dental hygiene school, so I didn't know a lot of the things that I know now. If I'd have known, I would have done something completely different. I would have gone into because I originally started school being a chemistry major, and I would have gone into chemistry and designed cosmetics. That's what I should have done, where I could just be in a lab, by myself, not have patients that I have to worry about, what they think of me.
I've gone after that scenario a million times. What would I have been if I hadn't been a pastor and knowing what I know about autism? I think my original path before being called into the ministry, I was textbook engineer. I knew math, I knew science really well, good at physics and chem, but I got convinced that I was called into the ministry. And if I had gone into engineering, that's less people focused, and that would have probably been a far better career for me. Okay. It would have been something that I could have taken my autism and worked with, that I can be focused on the details. Cause I don't want the building to fall on people, and I don't want, things like that. And
I have a question for you. Cause statistically speaking, people with autism tend to be atheists. A lot of autistic people can't conceptualize the God that people describe in, as Christians or whatever. I know that was a big problem for me, was, they were telling me all of these things that God supposedly, all these characteristics that God supposedly had, but I couldn't make that make sense. Especially with what I was reading and then how I was seeing people behave. And then, they're claiming to know this information that they don't seem to have any way to know. So I'm curious if the pastor thing was because you kind of alluded to it earlier, where it was comfy. You were in a place that was comfortable, and so that makes perfect sense. But was it a ritualistic thing that you were attracted to, or could you conceptualize the God concept?
I'm going to be honest. I always had trouble concepting the God concept. That's why I got a master's degree in theology. It's why I went in
figure it out.
to try to figure it out. I had questions almost from the time I was a teenager, but a lot of emotional reasons kept me in the faith, like the death of my father. My father and I were good friends after I got out of high school. And part of the thing with him was, wanting to see him again. So I try to rationalize a lot of things to see him again. Okay. Still misses hugs, and the thing about my dad is he didn't know about autism worth a damn because of the time frame, but
I was an 80s, 90s kid, and they didn't.
He,
unless you had really unless you were nonverbal and things like that, they didn't test for.
They didn't test for that. But he instinctively knew how to deal with me on a level that kind of indicated he understood what it was without knowing what it was. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so that was a driving force. Every reason I had to keep in faith was emotional. If I got rational about it and started thinking about God, I spent probably 7 years
emotional about much. So that I guess
that's but I have seated emotions. I just don't show them. Okay. But when it came to the understanding of God, I went all over the map with that. And by getting a theology degree, I had access to all these different opinions about God. Okay. And all the different ways that people argued for God. Okay. I got through apologetics class in biblical, my Bible college days, and I got done with the class. I'm like, none of that really is convincing to me. None of it. Okay. And so I'm going off to get the master's degree in theology. And by that time, it's sunk cost fallacy. I've invested myself so much into this. I got to do it. And then, I spent a good chunk of my time when I was a congregational minister, because I could explore theology, just trying to justify this God that I supposedly believed in. And that's why at the end, I spent 2 years in the pulpit as an atheist. Okay. I'm preaching shit that I don't even believe. Okay. And that was a hard, as an autistic person looking back at that. Okay. Now I'm dealing with people I don't even like to deal with.
Talk about masking. Holy shit.
I world champion at masking. Okay. World champion. Because
you win.
Okay, because I'm dealing with people I don't even like anymore half the time. Because the one thing about being a Christian is, they always have that expression, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family, and we're all family here. And I'm like, by this time I'm like, fuck some of you. Okay. Because you're nasty human beings and you're using your religion to justify it. Okay. And I don't have time for that. So for me, theology became this exercise of trying to make it make sense. And I never could quite get it. And I do this all the time on my show, because I get comments from atheists. Well, why are you talking about God all the time? I said, because I'm trying to demonstrate how much of a nonsensical concept it is. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm over and over. I says, because some people think that this makes sense, and it doesn't make sense to me. And it never did. Okay. It really never did. And I was always trying to try some new idea to make it make sense. And if there's somebody who's deep dived the whole trying to make God make sense in the world, it's me. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that autistic focus was on theology for 15 years. Okay. Trying to make it make sense. And it just finally it fell apart. And I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. And
So
that's why, that's why I think deism lasted a year for me, because I'm like, that still doesn't make sense. It's just, it's
I
religion
believed in God one day and did not the next day. The hypocrisy that I experienced from my best friend at the time was so profound, and there were little things along the way, but that was such a betrayal to me that I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm just
I hear that. I mean, when I left the church, I got backstabbed so many times about what I really left the church for and things like that.
Yeah, people are always going to create a narrative,
and that's why it was at that point I turned to the Clergy Project and their therapy. I needed therapy at that point because I was pretty much a mess.
Yeah,
and got the good fortune of having a therapist who says, Ed, I'm going to stick with you. Okay, no matter what, whether you can pay me or not, no matter what, I'm going to stick with you. And that's just been such a, excuse the word, but it's been a blessing. Okay.
Not a blessed be he.
I've seen you stop yourself.
Well, that's what I find so amazing. This is kind of why, I mean, not necessarily Ed, alone, but, I listen to his stream and he talks a lot about, autism and hypersensitivity, but, it's like his therapist is his best friend. And it's like, this person has to be wonderful just for the fact that you said, several times, even if you can't pay me, on your streams and in certain aspects of it.
I mean, I pay her now, but it's not a lot.
But still, not knowing
not a lot. And
deal is, and they're saying, hey, don't worry about it. I'm here for you. Not many therapists will do that.
Because I remember being at that moment, because the Clergy Project pays for like 12 sessions for you. Okay. They give them the money for you. And then after that, you're kind of on your own.
Right. And
we got to the 12th session. And I'm nervous as crap because I don't know what I'm going to do without this. Okay. And she looks me in the eye. We've never actually met face to face. It's always been an internet connection kind of thing because she lives way downstate. But she looked me in the eye and said, Ed, I care too much about you to let you go. Okay. And I want to make this work. Now, it took another year and a half before I'm comfortable enough opening up emotionally to her without the mask on. But she knew that. And so she stuck with me knowing that would be the case. And this is why I believe in therapy. There are good therapists like that out there. Okay. They deserve probably 20 times the money that they get. Okay. They really do. It's just this whole year, she's been holding my hand about the autism thing. And because she knows I'm way behind the curve of knowing what I need to know. And that's been a blessing too. It's like, she's not doing it for any God reason. She's just a decent human being. Okay. There comes a point where professionalism and being a decent human being have to be the same thing. And she's found a way to do that. Okay. So it's, if you're struggling, I can't recommend therapy enough. I really can't. If you're not in therapy and you're struggling, go talk to somebody that knows what they're doing. Don't talk to your pastor. He doesn't know shit. Yeah, I know. I didn't know shit. Okay. And don't talk to other people that are your friends because they'll misdiagnose. Talk to somebody that knows what the hell they're doing. Okay.
Yeah.
And stay away from the Christian counselors. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Something odd related to that. In the state of Kentucky, pastors can fulfill the job of a licensed psychologist. They can do the same exact thing. They can't write scripts and stuff, of course, but they can be called a counselor legally, and you can see them for counseling. And I think that's just like the craziest thing ever, but just related. But let me interject real quick here. We've and I hate to, because you guys have just been going off of each other so well and talking, but we've got a lot of questions and stuff, and I want to read some of these super chats too. So thank you, Robin, for gifting a membership earlier, and thank you, Justin, for gifting a membership. I have a link for Ride the Wavelength in the description, which is Justin and Earl's new channel that We'll start airing shows here very shortly. Let me see if I can find there it is. And so go check those guys out. It's going to be a great show. I really think they're on to something good here. And of course, Ed is linked in the description too, The Rabyd Atheist, and has a great channel that's just been exploding lately. He's been doing great shows, and everybody seems to love it. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, man.
I don't even know. I'm just being myself.
Yeah, and isn't that what it's about, though? Really,
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, go check them out. We also got a $5 super chat from Look at the Trees, just to send it, and we appreciate that. Trees makes a lot of great knife videos and stuff that I love. He does other stuff too, but a lot of those that are great. And Robin sent a super chat for $5. We need to educate people better on how to communicate more effectively with people within the autism spectrum. I couldn't agree more. I'm sure you guys agree with that too.
Yep.
Well, I don't expect anybody to work around to what's the word? To placate me. I expect to conform to greater society because I'm the minority. So I think that everybody should be more educated on various things about mental health and developmental stuff like that. That's definitely a something that's severely lacking in our education. But people can't always, they can't just assume, because like I said earlier, what does autism look like? So unless somebody comes out and tells you, which a lot of people with autism are not going to do because they're trying so desperately to, I'm normal. Look, see, I'm so normal. I'm so normal. We're not just gonna be like, I'm an autistic person. Hi, like we're not.
Somebody clip that for me.
So you guys want to go through these questions, and then maybe afterwards, if there's a little time, we'll post a link, and if anybody wants to come in and talk, they can. You guys down for that? If you don't have time and you need to leave, just tell me. All right. So you want me to read the questions, or you want to do it, Az?
Oh, go ahead. You're the furniture today.
Okay. Got to do something. I've been sitting here making faces at the camera.
Shit, you got to pay the bills. Come on. So, question for the panel: Do you think if you do not have a stable household, it's impossible to have a stable social life? That's blessed be he.
I mean, I had both my parents growing up. They were obnoxious, but
I had two very loving parents, and I
didn't want anything.
I think there's a lot of variables there.
I'd agree with that. But for myself, both my parents were very loving. Other than introducing me to Pentecostalism, I would say that they were pretty good parents. I think they both cared about me. They were looking out for my interests, and it's a funny moment because my mother used to say the way she would punish me is take me to social gatherings because I would rather be up in my room reading a book,
Wow.
So
I had to
probably
I hated it.
Yeah. So I think they kind of knew. And so I don't think that had anything to do with all my anxiety. I really think it's the neurology here. I really do think it had a lot more to do with that. I'm learning that not everybody has a bad life and has depression. Okay. Okay.
It affects who it affects.
It'd be like you think you'd have a stable home and you wouldn't have got those stitches. Shit happens, you get stuff. It's like
the assumption that it's a bad upbringing. I don't think that's a good assumption with autism. I don't think it's a very good assumption at all.
For a lot of things, in my opinion.
I'll talk about that one day as it relates to me. But that's a funny thing. But this is about you guys, so we're gonna move on. So is neurodivergent the same as autism? From Look at the Trees.
I answered this earlier, but autism is a form of neurodivergence. ADHD is also another one. There's a couple out there that it basically means that your brain isn't wired the same as everybody else's. So there's a couple of diagnoses that fit under that umbrella.
Sure, that makes sense. Blessed be he again. Do you think that the autism scare is just a big cash grab by big pharma? Sorry, don't mean no offense. Genuinely curious.
There's no medication for autism.
No, I'm not on any drugs for it. So
Right.
There's no autism scare. Sorry,
Right.
That's what.
And I don't know
what am I? How does anybody make money off of autism other than therapy? I mean, I it's a neurological condition, and I'm not sure you can't fix it. As far as
I think that we should probably be clear that autism is not like depression.
Nope.
Yeah.
Autism is a developmental, let's just say it's a developmental disorder. It's a learning disability. It's something you are born with. It's not something that you acquire. It's not something that you develop. You manifest symptoms as you have to experience social interactions and have those kinds of relationships. That's when it gets seen, but you're born with it. And you have it your whole life. It's not something that you can just.
It's not going to go away. Okay.
It's not like
you'd
depression.
have to change my genetics to fix it.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's just not going to happen.
So there's nothing that big pharma can do, and they're not trying.
I think this is a loaded question, personally.
Yeah.
Autism scare implies that.
I don't think it's a scare. I mean,
yeah.
Right.
I mean, we had these behaviors in kids and people. And all of a sudden, psychology and neurology tries to explain them, and this is what we ran into. It's not a scare. It's not something that people came up with.
Right.
They did research and they discovered this. Okay,
Right.
That's what happened. Okay,
and they also started screening for it
Mm-hmm.
more regularly with little kids, and so that's why it looks like there was like an uptick in it. But really, it's just that people started noticing that maybe they ought to test their kids.
Yeah.
They should have been doing it a long time ago. It's not
it
something
didn't really exist when I was growing up.
My dad, I can say with almost certainty that my dad has autism. But obviously he was a boomer. He doesn't, they didn't even think about such things but he's like this close to Rain Man. So, it's just
What?
it is what it is. It's
I pop
not
no pills. I have no pills in my life right now, and I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I'm an atheist. I take a shit ton of pills myself. Blessed be he's sorry that I got cancer from your intelligent designer.
Sorry, I had a heart surgery and happened to be an atheist.
I'm sorry that Ed's an ex-pasta, that has autism and hypersensitivity. And I'm sorry that
I don't take pills for anything,
right?
and I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
Greatest
unless
argument
it's really
against
necessary.
intelligent design,
Thanks for the laugh, though.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, Nate Grey Wolf, good friend of the channel. Something I'm noticing is a trans person with autism will have that autism manifest in accord to their gender rather than their sex.
Really?
I know this isn't really a question, but I thought it was a really good comment, something to think about.
I don't know the research on that. Comment on it. But that's interesting.
Reverb Twang. I believe the correlation of autism and atheism is we are having enough anxiety. We don't need a psychopath watching us all the time. Great comment. That might be comment of the day.
Valid.
I think that one wins. That one definitely wins. That was funny.
Oh my God.
Blessed be he. Is anxiety a natural human condition?
Natural doesn't mean good.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's a good thing. And
But is it intelligently designed? Come on, let's get this in here somewhere.
Small bits of anxiety can be motivational. Large bits of anxiety are detrimental to thriving.
Excellent answer.
I think every kid out there's had anxiety. Just think about, how you felt as a kid waiting for Christmas.
I don't know. Being a teenager is
walking
walking
anxiety.
So it's all good.
Mage says, "Why does it always have to be so people outside?" And I
Right.
couldn't agree more.
Right. Right.
So done with people.
Two people.
You guys are great. I can look at you in a screen. Nobody's trying to touch me. You know, this is a you know, I'm doing this willingly. This is all good. But yeah, having to do like fake, like small talk. Small talk is my idea of hell.
Yeah, just talk to her.
It
and
would be,
see
it
what-
would be
you
small
mentioned
talk while in
about-
the left
feel ya.
lane, driving 10 miles under the speed limit, drinking cold coffee. That is my idea of hell.
Yeah. Please stay away from the weather. I don't want to talk about the weather anymore.
So I put this question in so that I could there's something I wanted to get to that we, you know, I didn't really ask because I was, again, you guys were having such a great conversation. But like when you're on YouTube specifically and dealing with other people and you notice some of the like Ed, you said you do a lot of, you know, touching and, you know, like face touching and things like that. When you see other people do that, does that like affect you?
Oh man.
That you know of?
I don't know. I've really never really thought about that. And I think that's probably part of the neurological issue for me is not picking up on nonverbal cues like that.
Yeah.
I notice everything. So like when somebody does something repetitively or has a tick of some description, I find that very distracting. So in that way, yes. But yeah, like I can't keep clocks in my house. The ticking drives me fucking batty.
Yeah, I don't
I tick.
either.
I
I
keep music on all day long. And some, you know, so this is another thing is that autistic people are very different in what they need in terms of like to make their brains happy. Some people need, you know, a fan running all the time. Some need super quiet. You know, they have hearing things. I want my subwoofer as loud as possible without my neighbors calling the cops. Like that's my happy place.
and mine is when I do the show.
I don't have light sensitivity or anything like that, but I have very bad smell sensitivity, right? I notice tiny things that I find it very distracting and really upsetting to have to deal with that. But yeah, you know,
I'm the quiet. I like it quiet, except when I'm listening to music, and then I'm all in to the music.
Are you a headbanger, Ed?
Yep. I grew up with old school Metallica and Slayer and all those guys, and you know, still listen to them. But that's another thing. I like what I like when it comes to music, and I don't really give a shit about the arguments, you know, about what's better music, because I'll listen to my dad. There we go. But you know, my dad gave me an interest in Johnny Cash. My mother gave me an interest in Mozart. You know, and I'll listen to those guys and have just as much experience. But I am all in. It's one of my autistic focus things. If I'm listening to music, you can forget getting my attention.
The world is gone. That's actually part of the problem at work is that if the tunes are really good, then I'll just be listening to music and I'm just like, I'm gone.
I used to wait.
It's bad because if a patient jerks or there's a noise that makes like a really loud noise, I'll jump and that'll scare me to fucking death and cause a full meltdown. There was one time I was at work and the fire alarm went off. I had to go in the back and cry. It was awful. And I thought I ran back there like fast enough. And then one of the doctors came in and was like, "Are you okay?" And I was so mortified. I was so embarrassed. But yeah, shit like that is
I waited tables.
I get into my little autistic K-hole, like it's hard to get me out.
I waited tables for years, and again, I haven't been tested for autism, but something I always noticed is that I was really good at it too. I made a shit ton of money working for Applebee's, bartending and waiting tables, and something I always noticed is like I could be hyper focused on my job and I mean just kill it. But whenever it was over, like I was so emotionally drained, I had to go to a quiet place and just be by myself. And occasionally, especially on Sunday afternoons when the church people would come in, I would just lose it and snap at somebody sometimes. It was just...
And they don't tip, and they're just...
I told people to get the fuck out all the time. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
And
I certainly would say that having that kind of burnout, like, or the mental drain is certainly not.
I won't work anything where I have to deal with people on that level anymore, because after doing it for years, I mean, even though it was good money, I can't handle it emotionally. I would lose my shit now. I would go back to doing drugs probably because I have poor coping mechanisms. But enough about me again. Sorry.
Hold on. I want
stupid question. Were you happier as a Christian, Ed Rabyd?
No.
And what is this? If atheists claim to be naturalists, why don't they use natural?
That's what I was getting ready to put up there.
Well, let's just go ahead and ask that question.
I was getting ready to do this.
John's wort doesn't work, and it has tons of side effects that are really...
Wait, I can defeat this. I can defeat this point of hers. Blessed be then. If you're a Christian, then why do you even go to a hospital or a doctor or use medications at all? Why not just pray to the big sky?
Why aren't you just begging for death to be with your dear...
Yeah.
Or do you not have the faith of as big or small as a mustard seed?
It's funny we evolved with this self-preservation
No wonder I got her blocked on my
when
account.
God wants us to... Never mind. I ain't even going to go down the road.
I hear that crap as a Pentecostal all the time. Just pray about it. And I'm like, God, damn it. No.
And I'm trying to get rid of warts. I don't need St. John's warts. Come on now.
But as far going back to the first one, though, the happiness thing, how are you happy when you're always worried about this dictatorial asshole looking over your shoulder all the fucking time?
You're not allowed to be happy.
Watching
you're supposed to be ashamed of your...
How are you happy?
Oh my God.
How are you happy when you're never fucking good enough? Where you're a sinner and you
always
always
never
fucking... Oh, that pisses me off now.
I think the Bible pretty well states that you're not allowed to be happy till you get to heaven because you're an evil piece of shit on earth.
Yeah, I am far happier because when I go over and see my grandkids and I get a hug, I'm all in. Okay, because I know that moment may never come back again. Okay, and after I'm dead, I can't experience any of that. So
yes, blessed be he. We know what St. John's wort is.
Oh God, or my head would have fucking exploded.
It was a joke. Can you take
and
a
who
joke?
says I don't have warts from a plant?
I don't get sarcasm, and I got that one.
Yeah.
I inherited that from
I
my
fuck
parents.
up sarcasm all the time. I'm the last one to get a joke, but I knew what that one was. That was really obvious.
Earl, I like talking to you and interact. I mean, we talk all the time, right? And I love interacting with you, but I have a feeling that if we were friends, you would hate me.
Hell, I hate you now.
I tick out loud. You can hear me across the room constantly. It never stops.
Oh, your heart, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. You can't.
I'm like the most sarcastic person ever.
Well, it is really frustrating. And when I'm like moderating in chat, like I know when I was when I used to be on the line, people would say stuff, and Cookies that was in there all the time, I would have to ask her. I was like, was that a joke? Because all of a sudden I'd be like, and I take a step back and be like, okay, I think you were kidding.
You've had to get on to me in chat before for some of the language I used, but it happens.
I like you.
I know. No, we're great. We're great.
I forgot to read the Heathen's Creed before we started, since you won't let me pray before and after. So I posted it on there.
From now on, we're opening every show with a prayer.
You can thank Earl for this.
Yeah. We'll use Earl's creed there and open with that every show. Yes. No, we can't do this. We'll have to find something else.
Like
we'll have to find something better.
The whole thing is about the glory
one
holes.
Of these or
anybody knows what the glory holes is.
Our Father.
Yeah.
Oh no. See,
how do you like us now, B?
I'm more atheist than doofus.
Yeah. Autism isn't new. Our knowledge about it and our way of helping people deal with it, and we should get better at that. Al Trucker sent that. He's busy driving, so
right. That's why I started that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not new. It's been around forever, probably. Okay,
Forever.
it's just we become more aware of it, and we're still coming to understandings of it. You know, it's like it's anything in
And
the
I
social
think
sciences, really. We're just
your Sky Wizard
learning.
daddy, blessed be, same difference.
Blessed be he.
We're natural, you're supernatural. So what's the friggin'
Sci-
difference?
Why wouldn't atheists use science? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
We
Science is
don't rely on natural.
And it's our religion. Science is our religion. Why would we not
Right.
use our religion?
Everybody keeps
We've
claiming
moved
this.
away from alchemy to
Not use science.
chemistry, and moved away from astrology to
high?
Some of
astronomy.
us did.
You know, and some of us have moved away from religion to science. Okay, and figuring things out. That's the difference.
Oh
It's
my
just-
God.
That is so ignorant.
Okay, hold on. So
Mhm.
science is the tool that best explains the natural world.
Right.
I just think atheists should seek natural solutions to their issues. Do not rely on science. That's like
God.
that's contradictory in terms.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, dumbass.
And and it makes them it's
Big ominous, ominous. You're a dumb asshole.
Practicals, testicles, wallet, much. Somebody was mentioning Austin Powers.
Thank you, Robin. Appreciate that comment.
At least we're having
You should
fun.
mind your own business.
Hey, you know, it's always a good time when I come
That's why
here.
when Robin's in their PC, I ain't got shit to worry about because I know they're on this. I don't know why I get so upset because I know they'll handle it. But
The reason the reason I think anyway, this is just my opinion. The reason that you find so many atheists that rely so much on science
You're
is because
offensive.
we've spent our whole life some of us anyway, for in my case, believing something that explained nothing about that there it went, explained nothing about the natural world.
the only reason I
And
did
so
that is because
whenever
I just
we
won the
find out,
poll.
hold on, whenever we find out that these things aren't true, we naturally move to look for something that does explain the world around us, because
Correct.
at that point you're left with nothing, you know. And so that's in my experience. That may not be everybody,
Well,
but I mean, you look for a way to explain those things that you thought were explained by religion, and it can be trying sometimes. And some atheists do treat science like a religion. I don't deny that, but I don't think it qualifies.
well, and you also, I think
do
the
we
question, the thing questions the whole atheist worldview. Like we add all that stuff in automatically anyway.
Yeah.
Buddhists are
Atheist
technically
world.
atheists. Okay. I
Sure.
mean, if you really look at Buddhism, they are technically atheists, but they believe in a whole bunch of spiritual stuff. They just don't think a
Lots
deity is
of
behind
woo.
it.
Yeah, you
You
can
know,
you
so
can
it's
be an
like-
atheist and believe in all kinds of woo. I mean,
See, I think Buddhism, though, I
I
think
was a
that
witch for a decade.
I think that they go through and define deities and then say they're not deities. Is what
Yeah, that's
But I'm
a
not
bad point, too.
real well read in it. Okay, so don't.
But I look at them and they're like, they don't believe in like a personal God. Like it's it's more like the force or whatever you want to.
Yeah, it's like a spirit thing. Yeah.
So
Blessed be he. That's like going to a nude beach to get offended. Yeah, I asked this question
I
once.
love it, Michael.
If you don't like titties, don't go.
Oh, I just cured me abusing my wrench privileges. I'll just use Joe's and abuse his.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I because I got a block on Yahoo.
Everybody hates me anyway, so.
That's not true.
No, I just meant the people that he would abuse with the wrench would already.
Oh.
They already avoid this room because I'm in here, so I don't have to worry about it.
I'm gonna well, I ain't gonna say that, but yeah, I mean, thanks for all the questions, guys, and I will we'll take a few minutes.
Others.
And if somebody wants to drop in, you can. Here's a link. I'm not gonna pin it though, so grab it while you can if you want to join.
That's what she said.
While we're doing that, though, just one more time, I want to say I have both of these guys linked in the description. The Rabyd Atheist channel with Ed, again, a great channel that's blown up. And I Killed Earl and Yahoo Hooligan, also known as Justin. have started a channel, Ride the Wavelength, which I think is going to do great things. And R and Raw will be on here in a few days. I'll be on shortly after that. You've got Skeptics and Scoundrels coming up. You got a lot of great shows already booked.
I am booked out through almost through May now.
Yeah, you guys, great job. And I hope that you get a good kickoff with it and everything. And excuse me. I think you will do very well. But yeah, these guys are linked in the description. So go check them out, like and subscribe their stuff.
Become part of the Rabyd Nation and become a Wavite. Wavette. Wavite.
Right? Yeah. Rabyd Nation.
Al Trucker.
Oh, he's a mother trucker.
No, I think we did it at the same time.
Nope, I didn't touch it.
Hold on.
You should be on there.
Am I here?
Highlighted.
There we go.
There. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Al? How you doing, eh?
Hi, Al.
I'm doing all right. How's everybody?
Good.
Better now that you shut up.
Lovely to hear your voice.
I'm not going to improve anything around here.
Well, just as long as you don't disprove.
Yeah,
I was trying to thank people for being on the show. Ed and Earl's killer in particular. Because they came to share, and I, this is something close to me and my family, and it's really great to hear people talk about it and put a real face on it and explain that it's not what some people think it is.
We're not all Rain Man.
No. And my son lives with it. I have some neurodivergence, I'm pretty sure. Other people in my
family runs in families.
Yeah, it's a genetic thing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's one of the things still blows me away is once I started doing this, like I said earlier, how I kept, everybody. Seems like, well, not everybody, majority of people are touched by this, and I didn't realize it. So it's like I was even more excited for this to learn and see other people's perspective, on this.
I think we really need to do. There needs to be more help for people who are autistic, like that in terms of housing, because keeping, like for me, keeping a job is very difficult, and having some kind of support when you're, I don't mean handouts or anything, I mean somebody like a designated therapist that can like help you through that so that you can you can actually go and not want to drive into traffic.
Stability is important, and an understanding.
Yes, sweetie, we are going to block you. Bye.
Oh no, I banned that bitch.
I
don't ever use that word, but you want to push me? Go ahead. I've already been accused of abusing my.
What fucking word am I not allowed to use? I said, what fucking word am I not allowed to use?
Any fucking word.
Beehee. Say beehee, and I'm knocking your ass out of here.
Oh,
Al.
Is she still being a trolling twit?
Yeah, she's claiming that because she's got 6 kids, she's not a dumbass, and I'm sorry, but anybody can get fucked.
Hey,
anybody can pop out babies. I saw that over and over.
She didn't follow how many kids she would have had. Sorry, no, I should have said that. Sorry.
Sounds like you're definitely
have to be smart to pump out some kids. Sorry.
Look,
I have
like
a
good parent.
Perception for sure.
Being a good parent does require some intellect.
Yeah.
I wish people could take
an
IQ test before they got pregnant, but that's not the
Being
word.
a good parent definitely requires some skills.
So little background with Beehee. Beehee was originally blocked from the channel for comparing
You're roboting, JoJo.
to not, or told someone to do it, I think. But
there's a God. Beehee played against you because you blocked her.
Yeah, and so
God's wrath.
when I leave this stream, a lot of times on Sunday, I go over. We're usually on earlier, and I'll go over and watch What the Beck's Sunday stream. It's just a lot of friends over there chatting about whatever, and it's a good show. Yeah. So Beehee's there every show going on, and I unblocked everybody that I had blocked on this channel to give everybody a second chance if they wanted to come in. And today was Beehee's first visit. And I knew as soon as I seen her in here, I was like, gonna get blocked again. Here we go. Because Oh, I mean, look, a lot of channels don't like to block people and stuff, and I don't like to do it either.
I try really hard not to, but if you're just going to be an asshole, then
yeah,
like,
if you're just,
I ain't got time to deal with that shit.
I've been doing the channel for 4 or 5 years now, and I've only blocked 10 people.
Yeah,
and it's because I get it. Okay,
is he one of them?
Been there, done that. So, no.
I got you all beat. I pissed off a whole community. So hey,
yeah.
Asshole, I expect that out of you. You should be doing that because otherwise you wouldn't be.
Like, you think I wasn't tempted to ban several people?
Yeah,
I'm tempted a lot. Oh boy.
Yeah, well, sad is the other day on Ed's stream, he's talking about, oh, we're going to need some subs. I'm going to pick some. It's like, don't pick me. Don't pick me. Don't pick me.
I need moderators at this point.
I'll be a mod. I love
Earl is a professional moderator. That's who you want right there. I would tell her to mod and let her be the queen of the mods over there.
Honestly, I don't think I'm a bad mod. It's just that I get accused of, so why be one and try to give people fuel.
We're not going to talk about that.
Earl has done some excellent modding for me. For sure. and was one of my favorite mods on the line.
Yeah, they didn't know what they got.
Yeah,
oh, well.
But
I crossed Jimmy Snow, and that's a death sentence. So
well, egos play a lot into it whenever you get into some of these channels. And
well, he's the only person that's allowed to have autism, and he loves to use it as an excuse for his own bad behavior. But when I explained that I don't understand sarcasm, like I'm not allowed to have that too. So that was a big vote of contention.
I don't personally have any issues with Jimmy, and I love what they do over there. I'm not like,
oh yeah, I mean,
I'm not bashing the line. Jimmy
loves Skype talk.
I find that our ideas clash a lot though, and it is what it is though. One of the things that I have to tell Christians all the time though is that as atheists, really the only thing we have in common is we don't believe in a God.
And we don't use St. John warts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. There might be somebody out there.
But
Jimmy might have beef, but he and Matt have done good things for atheism.
Oh yeah.
They've done a lot of damage.
A little strange.
They've done a lot of damage, but they've also done a lot of good. So you gotta.
That's pretty much everybody. I mean, we all.
Jimmy Snow. Yes, Jimmy.
I don't really think much of Jimmy the Tux either.
I love Jimmy.
And I do. I'm kidding about Jimmy just because.
I had an excellent time talking about deception.
I love Jimmy the Tux. He knows that.
Yeah.
That live stream we did with Jimmy on deception was one of my favorite live streams, just because the conversation we were having. Not that's just something I really want to
get on the wavelength.
Huh?
We're getting him back on the wavelength. We're trying to. We're working out a date.
Definitely. He'd be a great guest. But I'll be heading over to be on Beck's stream. Yeah. Mage is always on Beck's stream too. I never joined the stream because at that point I'm just like, this is done, and I'm taking a moment to chill. But it is fun to watch.
We need to learn how to redirect people over there so you can do your own little raids.
Yeah. I agree, Robin. I love the non sequitur conclusion. I have 6 kids, so I'm not.
I got impregnated and birthed.
I don't use
science problems, and that means I'm not a dumbass. Like, okay.
Now, if I use science, I'd figure out how babies pop out and why.
I should figure out how birth control works. There, Tiki.
Welcome back, Al.
Oh, Al driving the truck.
Hey. Yeah. That's me driving the truck.
Yeah, you should have kissed the toad. Oh my God.
But
all the trivia peeps.
St. John's words, he shouldn't have kissed toads. Yeah.
Oh,
but he wouldn't listen.
When I was a kid, I had warts all over my hands. I had like 30 of them on my hands.
And my mom said I'd get hairy palms or go blind, so you got it worse.
Yeah. I got all kinds of problems. But I had all these warts, and and that's why we do it right there.
Oh, Earl.
Wait a second. No. I figured this out. It's not from the accident.
Stop it.
He had a he did.
Somebody's gonna clip me saying I had all these warts, and but
they're gonna have us going like this in the background now.
Yeah. I was in like 3rd grade, man, and but
and that damn little.
First of all, the funny thing is that people told
Earl.
me warts came from all these crazy things, but living where I live, I don't know how many like religious people wanted to come to my house and put their hands on me and said they could pray the warts away and all this stuff. And
don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
well,
don't want to
it's
spread them
kind of
around, but like people have.
Well, it's HPV. It's just
If you've noticed in the Southern Baptist Conference lately, "Don't touch me" hasn't been very effective.
That's pretty much true of a lot of religions, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually going to talk about the Mormon church.
Wow, and I don't have a filter. Wow. I wonder if Jimmy's
don't.
I would be
Say what comes to our brains.
There's a really fucked up story coming from the Church of Latter-day Saints. I was going to do a show on it.
No way.
You guys want to just talk about it now?
The Latter-day Saints has a screwed up story.
Oh, this is really bad, though. This is really bad.
Oh, this
is worse than usual. Give me just a second.
That is not a good omen.
No, it's actually serious.
Even if you don't believe in omens, it's not a good omen.
Just a second. Let me add some pictures here.
Oh,
okay.
I can't look at the pictures.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was having a great day. So, what do you think about doing a video on this? Pops it up, and it's like just ruined my day. Sad and disgusting. Ugh.
You're gonna have to give me just a second. I've got them on my phone, and I need to pull them onto the computer. Give me just 1 second, guys, and because just while we're talking about stupid shit, I'll go ahead and do this. You're gonna love this. Not really. It's bad. In fact, I don't even know if I can actually read the article.
Hold on. If I put it, hold on, I could do this quick. Well, how do I save it? Can I save it? Yes, I can. Hold on. Come on. Open a browser. Oh, okay. Boom, bam, bing, da bing, dum, boom. Okay, go over here. Is it brand?
Okay.
What are you doing? Did you get them?
No.
Hold on.
Do you have?
I got it. Well, I got the one that you sent me.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. All right. So
there you go.
Let me just read this real quick. Let's see if I can get the channel demonetized.
I think I probably
a Mormon mother and Mormon mother and stepfather are in custody after their 15-year-old daughter phoned police on March 7th and accused them of raping her.
Violating.
When questioned by police, both parents admitted that the allegations were true. The reasoning was that they wanted to teach her about intercourse because it was safer than having sex with strangers. When the girl was 14, both parents bought her sex toys and taught her how to use them on herself as well as them. The mother denied that the stepfather had sex with her daughter and said she only watched them have sex with each other. However, the stepfather admitted to having full-blown sex with the daughter. Both parents are charged with forcible sodomy, object rape, and forcible sexual abuse. The stepfather faces an additional charge of rape. Here's the good part. The Church of Latter-day Saints is doing everything they can to sweep this under the rug and has actually spoken out in support of this.
In support of what? The criminal investigation and charges? Because that's
in support of raping your kids in order to teach them about sex.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
I'm sorry. I can't understand what the fuck you just said.
Yeah.
Dude.
No. Like you've misread something. Please.
This can't be. This is real?
Tell me this.
Yes.
This is like,
absolutely real.
I believe it's a real story. I just can't believe that they're saying they support what happened.
Yeah, no, they say that. In fact, a lot of Mormons have spoke up in social media, and maybe I still should do the video, I guess.
Jeez,
but
maybe so. Even if it does get you demonetized.
Yeah.
Or even as a short.
I mean, I think these people need to get whatever it is the fuck that they are eyes, because it's fucked in the head eyes is what it fucking
exactly
is. Jesus.
Well, when I read this story, it was like, I'm going to do a video because so many times I get messages from believers that say, well, if you don't believe in God, why do you do this? Why do you constantly talk about God? This is why. It's not, it really has nothing to do with God. It's the harmful shit that's done in the name of religion.
That's exactly why I do it.
You know, and you know, it's not just the LDS, even though they're like maybe the most batshit crazy ones. You know, we see this in
Jehovah's Witnesses,
Southern Baptists.
That's what I was going to say.
Catholics.
There's
Scientologists. They're all they're all very culty and on the same.
Yeah, if you ever want to read some sad stories about Jehovah's Witnesses being abused, or even exes, go to SilentLambs.org.
I watched one of their documentaries. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's
JWs.
And the sad is they're much like the Catholics, where they would bounce their elders from congregation to congregation to congregation just to keep ahead of it. And this is one of the things that were instrumental in me leaving. I walked away from the J-Dubs 2 weeks before I was to be dipped, other than doctrines and shit like that. But finding out that these people that claim to be of God, for God, because of God are hiding this kind of shit. There's three things that'll trigger me. Well, a lot of things, but the main three things is abuse women.
Since we're already going to be demonetized, do you want me to tell you the story of why I quit being religious?
If you want to share that, I don't care about that really. I mean, fuck them.
Yeah.
Well, it's relevant.
Only
it's up to you. It's up to you.
Earl's talked to me kind of about this.
It's funny. I mean, it's funny. It's sick, but it's funny.
You're all weird.
I think I told you, Joe, but I honestly can't remember. Anyway, so my best friend at the time, so I'm like 12, right? My best friend she was almost a year younger than me. So 12, 11, something like that. And she had been like, I was trying really hard to be religious and, trying really hard to believe in this God thing, and was like really giving it an honest effort. I went to my mother at one point and she was like, well, it doesn't. So I was like, I know evolution's true. So how does this work? And she was like, well, it doesn't have to be, 7 human days. And I was like, okay. So that got me like through that sort of cognitive dissonance for a little bit. But then it just kind of kept getting worse and worse. So my best friend at the time, she had been bringing me to her church, which was a very like evangelical Baptist sort of thing. And I remember the first time I walked in there, and I grew up Presbyterian, which is like Christianity light, they're super chill. There's nothing there. We don't do any of this holy roller bullshit. Like it's very chill. They're big on education. They accept evolution. It's easy in terms of Christianity. So then I go to her church, and I'm bringing because I'd gotten, it's like when you get old enough and you get accepted into the church or whatever, and they, throw a thing of water on you. I had gotten baptized way before, but because my mother was like, it's a little water just in case, so even she was sort of like, like religion in my house was very, and my dad said that he worshiped the Volkswagen gods, and they came down and told him that he didn't have to go to church. And I believed that for a long time. So anyway, so she had been trying to get me to go to her church. And so if I was, spending the night or whatever on a Saturday night, then she would, we'd go to church together or whatever. And I remember the first time I went, and I brought my little Bible that I had gotten, officiated at my church with. And I was, all ready to be all like for Jesus, And so then we, sit down, and this guy who's considerably older, who's 19, looks at my Bible and goes, "That's the wrong one." And I was like, "There's a wrong one?" Like this was news to me, and they were all using, you know, because I'm 12, like I didn't know that there was like the NIV and the KJV, and like I had no idea any of that shit. So you know, I'm thinking that my little Bible is just a little Bible, and that, you know, I'm good. I was wrong. So you know, they've got these Bibles that are like, they essentially spell out, like they're like the study Bibles that essentially spell out what it's supposed to mean, like in plain language. They're bad, you know, and I knew looking at them, I was like, well, yeah, but this could say something else. You know, like even in my little brain, like I was like, this isn't working. So, you know, so I was already irritated, and my best friend was friends with this guy and was like kind of googly-eyed at him, and, you know, had this big crush on him and whatever. And I was like, yeah, but he's 19, dude, he's fucking 19. And so then couple months go by, and you know, I'm getting just like really bad vibes from this guy, and I don't particularly like it. And so we walk down to a surf shop, and we're walking back, and we start talking about, you know, having sex before marriage. And my thing was like, well, if it happens, it happens, and I'm okay with that. And you know, I don't think that virginity is that big of a deal, and it's sex, it's part of life, you know. And so, and you know, she's giving me this whole, like, she's reading me the riot act, like, you should not have sex before you're married. And I was like, okay, you know, I don't know why you're so angry about this. But then in the same conversation starts talking about how she got finger fucked in the back of the church van from this 19-year-old guy. That was hilarious. And how that wasn't really sex. And
I thought he got removed from you.
He's okay, because that wasn't sex. But I'm not allowed to have sex before marriage. But she's getting hankety pankities in the back of the church van with a 19-year-old, and she's so at that moment, you know, I'm trying, you know, talk about masking. I'm trying to just be like, okay, I get back to her place, and I call my mother. I'm nearly hysterical, and I'm like, Mom, you gotta come pick me up. You gotta pick me up right now. And I cried the entire way home. And I was supposed to, you know, stay the whole day and, you know, do what, you know, a bunch of other shit with her. And I was just like, nope. And that was the end of our friendship. And that was the end of me believing in any kind of deity, because I was like, if this is your doctrine that says that this is okay, but then getting assaulted by a 19-year-old guy is somehow okay, I am not capable, and I do not want to try to make those make sense.
Right. That is
the stories I have heard.
Not happening. And then her mother ended up finding out, and it was like, but he didn't get charged or anything. It was because he was a good Christian boy.
Good Christian boy, I'm sure.
I know a similar story.
Yeah. So that was the end of my I was 12, and I said.
It's also sad how, you know, they want to use the, you know, the Bible to say this is why we can protect, because like I said, as a JW wannabe, this is the one. Wait, did the verse pop up? Oh, there it is. Mm-hmm. That they used. You know, well, we can't do anything because we need 2 or 3 witnesses to this. You know, then you add the, oh wait, she didn't scream loud enough, so she's guilty. So let's turn her in. You know, this is what I heard as a JW wannabe. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, wait a second. You know,
and you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Really.
You know, or somebody said, hey, I was just violated.
If you have sex in a city, essentially, if you have sex in a city and you were, you know, married or whatever, like, you are fucked regardless, because because in a city there, you know, it's like somebody could, you know, somebody's there to hear you scream. And it's like,
and it's just,
it's not how it's sold.
Religion.
So when I was in high school, they had club day all the time, and one of the clubs was the Christian club. And although this is not allowed to even happen, it's Kentucky. So they had this
Texas all the time.
Yeah, I was vice president of my class, and kind of a rowdy teen, you know. I was doing a lot of drugs and acting crazy, and should have never had that, you know, vice president job, but I did. I actually got kicked out of it, but that's another story. Anyway, during one of this guy's sermons, he was like a preacher when he was in high school, and like a fanatic, what I would say. He actually works for what's that guy's name? The Harvest Network people. Anyway, I'll look it up in a minute. But he's well known televangelist. But anyhow, he went to one of these and started naming people's names and saying that all of us were going to hell because we were popular at school, okay? And said that we deserved to go to hell, and he couldn't wait for us to go to hell, and just all kinds of awful stuff. Huh?
Greg Laurie?
No, Parsons.
Hold on, I'm looking for. That's the first one that popped up on the. Go ahead, sorry.
Anyway, shortly after that, I had dated a girl, and we broke up, and she started dating him at some point. And so I talked to her later, and she was at work, and she said, "Oh, so-and-so, you know, he's getting ready to show up at my job." And she was talking about every time he shows up that she has to go out in the car and have sex with him or blow him or whatever, you know. And I was like, really? I was like, I would think he wouldn't, you know, be down with all that premarital sex and you know, especially like oral sex and stuff. As fundamentalist as he was, I figured he would think that was a deviant act. But anyhow, she
don't
told
usually consider
me
oral or anal sex to be
yeah
technically sex.
She told me that he had told her he prayed to God, and God told him it was okay for them to do those things.
Of course he did.
And that was one of the standout moments when I was younger that really made me think about like things like, first of all, I've tried to talk to God. Why does he not answer me? You know, and you know, I'd been baptized and in the church for years and stuff like that. But anyway, you know, that just a related story of crazy Christians using their religion to justify doing things that are unjustifiable within their religion. It's yeah, a poopo loophole. Yeah.
The Catholic way. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. God, is it okay if my girlfriend blows me? Yes, you may receive blowjobs.
It's an amazing how these people rationalize this crap.
Yeah, I agree. And that's really like that first story that, you know, led into all this. That's really what I was getting at, is like they will try to rationalize anything that someone says they did on behalf of God.
Garfunkel and Oates? Don't you mean Hall and Oates and Simon?
No, Garfunkel and Oates are a different thing. They're pretty good.
I was gonna say, because I was raised on Simon and Garfunkel. You know, anything.
No, Garfunkel and Oates is different.
They sing tunes and they're very cute. But I
don't do cute music. I do Simon and Garfunkel.
They have a BJ song.
Garfunkel and Oates now. I'll check it out.
Yeah, you got to check them out. They're great.
Well, I knew one statistic when I was still in the Assemblies of God, because they let it out at a meeting, and whenever we had a conference, the amount of porn use would go up by 7%. Every time, you know, a religious group comes to town and porn use goes up in the hotel rooms. And I knew that like 7 times normal. So justification is kind of the way religious people do with sex, because it's repressed. You're repressed about it, so you justify it a lot of things privately. So it was hilarious to me every time we'd have a discussion about it, how much over the top it was all the time, how much justification went into it.
Oh, there is a song, The Loophole by Garfunkel and Oates. Okay, I'm going to have to check this out.
They're funny. They're very funny.
Yeah, they got some great takes on a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
I should get and re-listen to them.
Well, back in my day, we didn't have Garfunkel and Oates. We had Lincoln Logs, G.I. Joe.
What was it my grandma listened to? The Oak Ridge Boys.
Yep.
Elvira.
Oh, I remember the Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah.
Oh,
her old ass loved that shit. It was crazy. I can say what I want now. We've done talked about finger fucking and everything else. If the stream's still going, they're not watching.
He isn't a dumbass because she's had 6 kids. She doesn't know how she had them though, and she's still a virgin.
I don't know. Was that said? I mean, nothing would surprise me at this point.
No.
And actually, to be a virgin to me is no big deal because I mean, would virginity be penetration when you'd lose it, or if semen entered? I mean, because that's the one thing I can remember back in high school in our sex ed classes. They're always talking about be careful because you can still get pregnant because if a boy, not me because I got stamina, sure I did. Anyway, and he pops literally through and cause a girl to get pregnant. I've always heard that. So if that would truly happen, it's truly true. Is that girl still a virgin?
Oh, I can't wait to read the comments.
I don't know what direction I'm going to go in.
I can't wait to read the comments from you saying, "Hey, you're 2 days. See you later."
Yeah. Well, we might as well talk about bestiality.
No.
Yeah.
Well, if I knew that, I would have brought my favorite sheep in.
Hey,
Duchess, I am not a virgin. I'm a re-virgin.
Oh God, that's funny.
No, that's sad.
We've had too much fun here today. The YouTube gods will frown on me for this, but
yeah, just wait till you go see your subs. You're down to 320.
Yeah. I stayed the whole month of January. I didn't gain a single sub. Actually, I think I came out -1. And it was like really messing with me because the channel has like steadily grew and stuff, and it was like driving me nuts. And it's picked back up some now though. I gained 30 subscribers this month so far, so it's
you just blew that one.
Yeah,
that's great.
Later. But the devil made us do it, not my fucking hands off.
I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
Ed could be our pasta in hell.
Oh,
I told you guys to shut up. You just had to push it with the sheep.
Autism and sex is actually an interesting conversation because
Yes,
how do you have sex when you can't stand to be touched?
Right.
That's not necessarily true.
Uh-oh.
I used alcohol, and I don't drink much anymore, so I don't fuck anymore.
If you're hypersensitive to touch, sometimes that's a very positive experience, and it actually supercharges things a little bit. So
okay, we didn't get in
there.
That's my excuse for finishing too quick. It's my autism, baby.
Yeah, I think it's also important to remember, like, not everyone
your robot, babe.
Identical. Well, my robot.
You're better now.
Yeah, you're better now.
Oh.
Can you guys hear me still? Is it working?
Yes,
sir.
No?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to point out that, like, there's a wide variety when they talk about the spectrum, and it's not like a lot of the different symptoms and the way this comes out of each individual that has like an autism spectrum disorder. And I know that's not necessarily the way people want to term it. I know people want to talk about it differently. I don't disagree with that necessarily. But it is because some people would like to just call it what it is, which is a different place people show up on the spectrum, which I think is fair. But not having been with my child to many different things where lots of different children of different backgrounds, but the same, let's call it a condition, say, are there. They're not all the same by any means, and they all have different ways, different ways they communicate, different levels of communication of different types. But I think it's the same for their sensory issues. They're not all identical. Sensory issues may be common, but what those sensory issues are, what level they have, and this hypersensitivity.
I can invite people in for a hug. Yeah, I mean, and occasionally I do recognize that I get touch starved because I don't touch people except at work, and that's obviously not the same because I'm hurting them. So it's I can but my friends just know to ask, can I hug you? Yeah, and so
as long as I'm aware of it, it's usually okay. It's when somebody surprises me with touch that they're playing.
Even when I'm aware of it,
I don't like that.
Okay. I had a friend that went to like rub my back, and I honestly went like this, like it was like I looked like a cat that you pick up from the scruff of their neck. Like it's actually physically painful to me. I
can actually see that, Earl. I can see that.
And it scared him, and I was like, "I'm so sorry." Like it was involuntary. There was nothing. It was pure reflex. It just, I was so embarrassed. But yeah, it's physically painful for me if it's even when I'm anticipating it but not wanting to. It's it's really.
How you doing, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, I'm glad I made it. We talked earlier about specifically the autism spectrum, and I'm glad that I finally made it in. No, especially on this touch thing. No, I don't. I'm pretty much standoffish unless for sex. So other than that, oh hell no! Don't just walk up and give me a hug. That's
give up drinking. So I can get sex.
Yeah, and I imagine these things fit on a spectrum, just like the autism spectrum.
Essentially, what I'm saying is I need therapy. But
right.
Listen, I know what happened to Ed's wife. She got sick of being judo flipped every time she tried to touch him.
Well, my mom helped me out a lot by reminding me of my whole life and my whole young life, especially because I didn't know I was unique. She kept saying it's okay to be different. And I marched to the beat of my own drum, and that's what I do. It's like some people think I'm off the chain crazy, which I'm not. Well, okay, maybe, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing with us, Mike. I appreciate you joining. We haven't met before, I don't think, have we?
No, not online. I've seen all your shows, except.
Oh well, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
So
I'm glad to have you. Thanks for coming and sharing with us, and. You can stay and talk with us as much as you want. But I just wanted to say thank you for joining and sharing something. A lot of people deal with this, and everybody deals with it in their own way. And there is counseling and things that they can do. But as we've talked about, there is no cure. There is no drug that you take to cure autism. You try to work with it and do the best you can. And again, these are my opinion. I'm not an expert. But it seems like that we have this spectrum that we call autism, and there's many different things, and a lot of misconceptions like savants and things like that are made, like everybody's Rain Man and things like that. And that's kind of silly, but it happens. And but also like when we're talking about this touching and reactions to things, I think that has a spectrum for each person as well. And one of the things, and again, I haven't been diagnosed as autistic, but when I was in the hospital, they had to wake me up at 4 a.m. every night and draw blood. And every night they would come in and wake me up, and I would like freak out and try to hit somebody and jump out of the bed because they would walk in and put their hand on my chest. And it scared the shit out of me every time, and I would freak out. And I told them not to do it.
I fought nurses a few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't actually have
Try to hurt me when I first wake up. Hell no.
Yeah.
We didn't actually have that term when I was a kid, but I was trying to do research for my memoirs, and I'm like, wait a minute. I start seeing all the symptoms from different shows and being around people, and if it's not, we're unique enough to be an atheist, but unique enough to be autistic too, because it's kind of that way.
Yeah. Then you really get the funny looks from people when all that comes out. I'm not just an atheist, I'm an autistic atheist. And then it's like,
you're extra weird.
But hey, look, for example, we have two here, and Mike, I don't know anything about you, so I'm not gonna, address it to you. But like, I've watched a lot of Ed's content. I've seen Earl on a lot of shows and talked with her myself and stuff. And these are both people that are excellent in this space and do great work. And it's not because of autism that they do it in spite of it. And I think it's really admirable to come and talk about this issue. And
remember that first show I was supposed to do, and I got shitless and couldn't come on.
But I think we've had a lot of fun talking about this, though. This has been a every show I do here lately, the live streams, it seems like the next one gets better than the last, and I'm like, hell yeah. As far as like having fun, not necessarily content and stuff. I mean, we did talk about some off the wall things here, but overall, I think this is something that nobody's discussing yet. It affects many people in the atheist community, both creators and just people who take part in that community. And so I hope somebody got something from it.
I think the live stream actually helps me, because officially I have no in-life friends, no real life friends. I mean, you guys are it, but it helps me because I get a chance to interact on a distant space. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like a crowd or anything like that. And then I get a chance to talk to friends.
Well, I hate to speak for other people, Mike, but I feel like any person on this panel, if you reached out to them to talk about anything, they will answer you. I'm almost certain.
I always respect genuine questions.
Yeah. Again, you said you've seen the streams and stuff. I'm sure you're familiar with these guys' content as well, because I talk about them often. Anytime, Mike, you want to jump in and join in a conversation and it's open, you're welcome to do so.
Yeah,
we love
shirt of the day.
Oh yeah, St. Patty's Day shirt.
Another character besides Jesus that grew in mythology. So
and sorry to point out the obvious here, Mike. Is that a patch or a darkened side of the sunglasses?
My left eye is blind. So instead of actually wearing an eye patch, it's more comfortable to wear a darkened out glass.
Sure.
But I mean, it looks like it's functional, but when I bump into people and they don't know I can't see there, they think I'm being rude. So I have to have something to identify that, hey, I really didn't see you.
Yeah. I was just curious. My father was blind, so I
would have just wore a shirt that said, "Yeah, I'm drunk. Big deal."
Yeah, I take too many blood thinners to
Yes, this Dick Waffle. Oh, and don't say that was popular.
Just when you're worried Azho is going to take things too fucking seriously.
Yeah. Why you always got to be so serious, Azho?
I'm sorry. It's my.
Seeing as I'm speaking to other people on the scale, do y'all wind up taking things a lot more literally than like when someone produces satire, you're like, okay, why? I mean, because it sounds like it's real, so you like go with it.
I mentioned this earlier. I do not pick up sarcasm very well at all. I'm usually the last one to get a joke. It's really embarrassing.
I have to
be very careful when I moderate.
I think the only humor form I get is sarcasm. The rest of them I don't get.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I think I grew up with very sarcastic people, so you had to get it or to survive. So
I think there's a philosophical conversation buried in there.
Yeah, I've become a very sarcastic person. That's my chosen form of humor, but the rest of it just isn't funny to me. So it's like
I'm just sassy. I don't know that I do sarcasm, but I'm definitely sassy.
So
yeah.
That's probably another difference of people on the spectrum. You know, some people get certain forms of humor and other people don't. And
my humor is off the wall. And then like if someone, when I was a kid and I was trying to date, or like even my mid-teens or 20s, if someone came up to me and they actually came on me, I wouldn't realize it for like 3 days later.
So I hear you.
I'll have to do some of my stand-up act for you guys one day.
Just make sure it's the day that my electric's off or my computer's broken.
Yeah. Make sure nobody's watching. Post it on Facebook.
It tells me I need to lighten up, so I guess I better listen to him.
But I think we're about to that point that if we continue any longer, it's going to get weird. So
it's going to get weird.
Well, we avoid that at all times.
I think that was about 20 minutes.
Could have stopped at 2 hours, huh? But I had a lot of fun doing this, guys, and definitely thank you for coming and talking to us. And one more time, these guys are both linked in the description. Ed, let me get the banners up here so we can see exactly what I'm talking about. Ed has the channel The Rabyd Atheist, and linked in the description. Excellent channel. Again, been exploding lately, doing great content. A lot of fun. Ed puts out content all the time too. So if you really like to, have stuff to watch, go binge on Ed's channel for about a month.
Do you have Ed's OnlyFans, link up? Or
no, I don't have an OnlyFans link up.
And let me emphasize, Ed is a former pastor turned compassionate anti-theist, correct?
Yep.
And has a really interesting story. So if you're not familiar with it, please go check Ed out. Now, going to the opposite side of things, we have I Killed Earl, who has just joined forces with Yahoo, again also known as Justin, and started the channel Ride the Wavelength. And they've got some great guests coming up. Aaron Raw is going to be on there, the Kentucky Stud, Skeptics and Scoundrels, all those people. And
Jimmy
And
JL.
Yeah. Don't laugh at me, Azho. And
is that a Derby
I'm too serious for that
episode there?
Yeah, the serious guy. But I think their channel's going to do great, and for sure, go subscribe and be in line to see the beginning of something great. And thank you to all my channel members.
Absolutely.
You guys are great, and I love your
don't
support.
forget, Al's got a channel. Robin is starting up her channel.
I've seen some of Robin's stuff. He's done a great job.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the things present right now. I will say that, I promise.
Yeah, you need to get serious, Joe. I'm sick of this half-ass.
Okay, let me get my serious bullshit. Hold on.
Thanks for letting me in.
Right.
Get serious now.
But look,
don't make me abuse your power some more.
But
Listen here, motherfucker.
anyway, yeah, you're right. Robin has an excellent channel that she started, and I don't have the link for it ready, but I'm sure somebody's probably already posted it. Robin has an excellent channel that she's just started. And who else were you mentioning there?
Al.
Oh, don't mention me. Don't mention
me.
My music.
Al
is the worst.
Al does some impromptu live streams that I love.
I do.
And he really, if you want to go and have a back and forth conversation with an atheist, he really talks back and forth with the chat. And, I love Al's stuff. Me and Al first met. He sent me a song that he made, inspired by this channel. So
that's true. Yeah,
yes.
I think that was the first song that I actually like. Maybe not the first one I wrote, but the first one I actually made into something, because I felt like the Banana Man needed a real treatment. And I also want to say, this is totally the only thing that I'm going to say related to the topic of the conversation today is that the one I did about Greg Locke was specifically inspired by the crazy whack-ass shit he said about people on the spectrum. And I take that shit personally. And I also want to say that when I see people using it as a pejorative term or as an insult, it pisses me right off. And it's people that are on the spectrum are some of the best people I've ever fucking met. Present Company is an excellent example of that. And
for sure.
I just want to say that. I want to say that. And if you wanna get on my bad side, tell me something different than that.
Yeah. Excellent words, Al. Couldn't have said it better. I will.
Even if you are Canadian.
I'll make sure I get your link in the description too.
You don't need to put my link in the description. It's just people will end up hearing shit that's really bad. Although Earl's Killer is my only fan. That does not mean I have an only fan. She's just the only person that genuinely has expressed.
Damn, I was getting ready to go to OnlyFans and search for you.
Yeah.
She might have been just trying to be nice to me, but she's the only one who's ever said anything positive about my music.
I
think your lyrics are clever. I really do, genuinely.
I told you that I've loved a couple of your songs.
Remember, she's autistic.
In fact, you actually just gave me a hell of an idea. I may do a video on Ray Comfort just for you and use that as the intro song.
That would be. Whoa.
No. He does not have an OnlyFan. I am his only fan.
Yes, that's very clear. I was trying to be very clear.
He has one fan.
Killer for re-expressing that.
Sorry,
I have a solitary
fan. I had to address that right now.
I have a solitary fan. Earl's Killer may or may not have for her to advertise, but I have. Oh fuck!
I love that.
Yeah, her only fan is.
I think I'll get a copyright strike for
that.
Do you think I'll get a copyright claim over using that?
You'll find out.
We use it all the time.
It's
we'll know later, won't we?
it's on GIFs and it's everywhere else.
Yeah,
so
Joe, just make it feel better. You'll probably find out if that's a copyright infringement about the same time you find out if you got a channel or not anymore.
About the time I hit end screen, huh? So anyway, let's we'll go around the room here and talk with everybody. Azho has a channel too where he posts things and not a lot of stuff, but it's a place where you vented and said things you wanted to say.
And you don't want to see it, okay?
Hey, look, I support any creative outlet that you use other than, being mean and nasty to people. So I think those
are my two best points. You just ruined the whole channel.
I love what you do, Azho. I love you. And
he thinks I'm Jake from State Farm because he calls me at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to tell me this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And his girlfriend
made you an emoji.
She sounds hideous.
You and Robin both have emojis. That's how important you are to me.
And you know how that works out for people in some places.
Now, Mike, you're not creating anything, right? You're just
in reality, I'm new to all the channels, even though YouTube's been out here for a while. I'm an atheist living in the Bible Belt, so really, I'm just now connecting with the community. I don't know anybody in real life, so I'm pretty much isolated. I'm like on an island anyway, which actually that's kind of where I've always been, but that's a different story. But yeah, so I've been on a couple shows like Neil, the 604 Atheist, and Free Thought Hour, just talking about me, I guess. And so, yeah, I'm basically new to this world.
So Mike, I tell you what. Stick around whenever I close out the show, and I'm going to give you my email, and I want you to get a hold of me, and I want you to come on and talk to me, and we'll have a discussion where you're the guest. Okay. I think that would be a cool thing to do. And because, I'm also from the Bible Belt, and I think that talking to another person who has maybe had some of the same experiences I have would be a productive conversation. So we'll set that up, Mike. But
the question I have for you, Mike, is: do you have a pole in your living room?
A what?
This is going to be a special stream. Do you have a pole, like a stripper pole?
No, not even one in my bedroom. I mean, I need to add one.
I was trying to get some super chats, Mike. I mean, you get that pole together.
His opening song is going to be, chicka bow bow, chicka bow.
Yeah. Singles only.
There goes Earl.
But
we won't talk about my thongs.
Yeah. Okay. Back on track.
He knows what I'm talking about.
The conversation's starting to go in another direction again. There you go.
Sorry.
Mark Reed has that excellent that excellent video that he puts in when people are getting too rowdy and it's all everybody's going rah! Like I think we need to adopt that on our channel as well, because that is so cool.
I just thought about
stuff. You got a poll?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can do that, Missy Maud.
We can get stuff
don't
on here.
think I have any shame. I will take off my clothes for money for sure.
I will give you money to keep your clothes on.
I think they're asking for you to do
the same thing your girlfriend tells you.
Let's see which side wins. But anyhow, with that being said, Ed, what do you got coming up? What do you want to tell us about?
I do 5 videos every week. 2 of them usually targeting deconverting people to kind of help them through it, Bible study, and just talking about some of the things in religion that we can take with us, kind of thing. But I also do a reaction video once a week. Usually this week I'm not, but usually Mondays are that. And then I have a running discussion about God and his qualities on Thursday to illustrate how absurd it is. And then Friday is kind of my off the cuff day, whatever's on my mind. So if you're looking for regular content, I'm the guy. I just be myself and talk about what I want to talk about. So, and so far it seems to be working better than I expected. Yeah. So just trying to normalize atheism and deconversion, but where it's not a weird thing.
That's my goal.
So,
one, and I said it earlier, but one thing I love, Ed, is your opening, where you just go ahead and throw it all right out there in the opening. You're a former pastor turned, compassionate
atheist, now a compassionate anti-theist.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's it explains a lot right before the show goes every time, and I think it's excellent. And no wonder you're doing great. I mean,
you spend half this time trying to explain to theists what a compassionate anti-theist is. I don't know how many times I've seen that question.
I've done that so many times. It's like I see, having been a theist for so long, I just have empathy for them. Okay.
Yeah,
I
sure.
really do. And I know what they're like, and I know I've been there myself, but I just think your life will be better without the religion. I think it'll be better without the belief system. You need to just face reality and get past the mythology, and you'll have a better life overall. So
I think that, and Mike probably relates to this too, being from the Bible Belt area, an extremely religious area on top of that. I have empathy for people because I understand they were raised and indoctrinated and put into this thing just the same way I was. And, I'm not hating on you if you chose to believe later. It's this tribalism thing, I feel like. And, there's a lot of atheists that make arguments that it's completely irrational and silly and all that. And it is on the face of it, but when you get into the details, you have to. Oh, I'm coming to you. Don't you worry.
No, I gotta go. I gotta feed my dog. He's twirling over there and
Can you plug your show real quick?
Huh?
You want to plug your show real quick?
Oh,
I'll do it.
You've done it.
I got you.
Come and see us on Saturday at 4:00 for R and Raw on the Wavelength, and it'll be a good show. And I'll catch everybody later.
Thanks for coming, Earl.
Thanks, Earl.
Great conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And
we can talk about
Al. You got anything you want to talk about coming up, Al?
I don't have anything specific planned yet, but I do have my 69 sub stream coming up at some point. It just isn't scheduled at all because I haven't been able to schedule anything between work and my health. I haven't figured anything out yet. So but my health is getting better and work is getting busier. Those two things may not go together real well, but we'll see.
Sure.
We'll see. But,
I hope it works out well for you, Al.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the support I've gotten from you and your channel, and I'm here because I support what you do. I support the fact that you get out there and you say right from your heart what's going on, what your experiences you've been through. They're a big part of why I want to support you and everything you do, and I know you're here. You're bringing other people to the fore, and you've invited me to be on your show, and I wasn't able to do it the last time we were talking about it, but I will be here one day soon, and so people can look for that. I just don't know what day that'll be.
Well, I tell you what,
you don't either because we haven't figured it out yet.
No, I tell you what, Al. Again, same thing with Mike. Hang out for a second after the stream and get my email, and we'll get all this worked out.
All right, we will get this down. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any?
And I'm so glad I met Ed today because I was not familiar with his content, but I'm checking it out. I don't know how I missed it. It was just one of those things where it was someone new to me, and I'm going to be finding out all about it.
Right, especially much as we talked about it.
Azho actually introduced me.
But, always happy to have more people in the Rabyd Nation. So
yeah. And does anybody else?
I'll bring Behe with me, Ed.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Does anybody else have anything?
Hey, Azho, you're in danger of showing up on top of my page because we have 7 members now. So one more, and you'll be at the top of the page. I'm sure.
Oh my God! Get your ass out of the way, dog.
What is it? You need one more membership?
Yeah, you got to have 8 before they let you put that up on top.
We'll see what we can do about that.
Also, don't forget about Wednesday night trivia trivia.
Yeah. Wednesday night, as always, we will do trivia. I may join for a little while this Wednesday to kind of help with the new format and stuff, so we can get it implemented. But you didn't ask the questions that were on that board, did you?
No.
Okay, so they're still good.
We freehanded, and then Michael came on and was my Googler. Don't ask people; it's not as sick as you think it is.
Yeah. Well, I'll just kind of play. I'll play tech and just kind of come on and help with it and get you up to speed with it, how it goes and everything, and that way, But we've been working hard to try and improve that show, and we've added gift cards to the mix and stuff. So come Wednesday night at 9:00 for our trivia, and it's based on participation, not your knowledge. And it's completely, secular. We're not talking about religion. We're not talking about anything to do with it. It's just a fun night off with trivia, so people can unwind and have some fun. That's all it's about. And like Ed, my goal is just to normalize the atheist community and show that we're just like everyone else. We just don't share, that one belief. And I hope that we move forward with that. It seems like we've got the momentum going now, and everybody who's working to do those things is just so well appreciated. There's so many atheist creators out there with so many different perspectives and things they like to talk about. Like Slim Cyborg, completely different than everybody else's channel, but still, not necessarily atheist content always, but a lot. Just there's a lot of people out there doing great stuff, and the community. Thank you to the community. You guys are what makes this all worth doing. And people like Mike, who I haven't met, I get to meet somebody new who appreciates the things that we do, and that just drives me to do even more. So with that, if nobody else has anything else, we're just gonna go.
Stream tomorrow night. God, is this your first stream, Joe?
Oh shit, yeah. Okay, listen, guys. This used to be a once a week thing. Like,
I thought I was the furniture and you were the crew.
Yeah. I have no idea what's going on here. We used to stream once a week on Sunday, so I'm like forgetful as hell. Tomorrow, I Killed Earl will be back with us so that we can talk about the new channel that they're doing, Ride the Wavelength. Her and Yahooligan Justin will be doing that together, and R and Raw will be on their show Saturday. I have excuse me. I have links in the description for those guys, and I will add Al's. But tomorrow she'll be on to talk about that show and what they're doing and stuff and all that. And she's actually trying to give me a hand on persuading R and Raw to come here to the Kentucky Atheist channel, so we can give away some books. And what's up?
And you're going to be on somebody's show next Saturday?
Am I?
Yeah. Gigi's?
Oh, is that Godless Granny show next Saturday?
It's the 24th or something, isn't it?
You're right
He's
on top
awesome.
of everything there, Joe.
I watch a lot of her shows too.
Oh my
Very good.
gosh.
Well, listen,
I'm going to make dinner too?
Look, I went from one stream a week to where I have stuff to do every day of the week, and it's just.
And you're welcome.
I'm the worst. Yes. I give full credit to Azho. He works hard in the background. He works on one aspect of it, and I work on the other, and together we do this. This isn't just me. This is, we do this together, and Azho's just as big a part of it as I am. And all your hard work is appreciated, Azho. Don't ever.
And I know that quick. You're gonna make me cry. No, you're not. Ed's gonna cry.
Well,
probably gonna mask up actually.
Perfect.
Wow. You use that when it's convenient, Ed. I see how you are.
Yes, I do.
Thanks everybody for coming. Click the subscribe button, click the like button, click the bell, and all that shit. There's a join button down there if you want to be a member. If you don't, that's okay. The best thing you can do to support the show is just like it and come and talk to us, and don't feel like I'm trying to push that. But we have created a 99-cent membership slot there to try and include more people, so that's available too. And with that, goodbye.